Yes. 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 Okay. How's everybody doing? We have an opportunity to recognize one of our high schools, and it gives me great privilege and opportunity to recognize the Leadership Academy for Young Men. I am the board liaison for the Leadership Academy. My name is Vice President Cynthia Elliott, and I have a little script that I'd like to read on what they were able to accomplish. The Rochester Board of Education recognizes Leadership Academy for Young Men for making tremendous improvement in the climate and culture at the school through the My Brother's Keepers initiative. Leadership Academy for Young Men students were part of an inaugural class of young men across New York State inducted into the My Brother's Keeper initiative. Students from Leadership Academy for Young Men traveled to Albany in May of 2018 to participate in the ceremony and a series of workshops to learn about changing school culture and climate. In collaboration with the Leadership Academy for Young Men, the students that went to the training in Albany led initiatives and projects including the Restorative Movement in Rochester and the Monroe County Race Summit. This work was incorporated into the Leadership Academy for Young Men's Lions Council and has led to a change of atmosphere for students and staff. During the 2018-19 school year, the young men traveled to California and participated in the nationwide workshop for all My Brother's Keepers members. At that workshop, students had the distinct honor of participating in a question and answer session with President Barack Obama, three-time NBA champion and Golden State Warrior Steph Curry, and Grammy winner John Legend. When the students returned from the West Coast, they came back with a relentless focus to continue to make a difference. With the help of senior student Jaquez Cochran and Tim Frazier, the Leadership Academy for Young Men have made tremendous improvement in the climate and culture at the school, and that is certainly to be recognized. The Yes We Can Award will be received by Principal Wakili Moore and Leadership Academy Senior Jaquez Cochran. Congratulations to the Leadership Academy of Young Men. Will you step forward, please? You are? And also Tim Frazier, is he here? Tim Frazier. What I'd like to do, I think we have a few minutes, is both of you talk a little bit about your experiences in California, your experiences in Albany, what you brought back to the school, and what you think that we need to do going forward in this district. What does the board need to hear in terms of policies going forward? So let me just start with you, Tim. Talk to us about your experience.
First and foremost, it was incredible meeting President Obama, me and Steph Curry and John Legend. One thing Obama was talking about is he really focused us and pushed us to work on, how can I say it? To focus on the students more and what we got and what we think, because students and overall, we really run the schools if you really think about it. Our opinion matters. So he really just told us to focus on the kids in the future and stuff like that. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
I would like to say it was a very humbling experience to be in Cali with those legends. And one thing that I learned was it takes a village. So when we was down there, we were talking about it takes a village, and knowing that there's so many black people out there that we don't really know, but they on the same mission that we are. So I'm not really alone on this on this journey.
And so I also want to thank Principal Moore and his team, because I know that it's hard work, it's difficult work. I mean, I know that because of what our kids come from and some of the things that they lack. And so, you know, on behalf of the Board of Education and President Van White, I want to thank the leadership team of the Leadership Academy for Young Men as well. So thank you, and let me present this award to the students and the staff in the School of Leadership Academy for Young Men. Congratulations. And some of my colleagues will come around and shake your hands as well. Mr. President, you want to say anything, a few words? Come on, you know you want to say something, come on. Because I'm kind of low-key today, so pick them up.
Oh, no, I don't know that I can do that, but I can say this nation, this state, our city in particular, needs leaders desperately. And, you know, I was watching TV the other day, Netflix, and I wasn't prepared to go to sleep. And you know how you can just sort of channel surf after a while, and you sort of watch something. And I came across this woman, and she did what they call a TED Talk, which was talking to people about issues. I think her first name was Bree. I think her last name was Brene Brown. All right, help me out here. Brene Brown. And she had a quote from an unlikely source that I had never heard of before. I've heard of him, a little history class here. Teddy Roosevelt. You know, I'm usually quoting Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, but I'm here, I can't quote him, but she quoted Teddy Roosevelt. And he talked about how leaders have to take to the arena, right? They have to get in the battle, and they have to face the bruises and the onslaughts of people who would judge them from what we would call the cheap seats. You know, people in the arena, but just sort of watch and say, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you need to do this, you need to do that. You know what I'm talking about? It takes true leaders. It takes sacrifice. It takes courage to get out there in the arena. It takes no courage to sit out there in the cheap seats, in the nosebleed seats, and judge people who are down there. So fellas, I'm telling you something. Leadership Academy is more than a name, right? Leadership Academy means that you got to have the courage to make things better. Because I know things weren't perfect for you all, right? You can't just say, okay, I went to Leadership Academy and people taught me that I should do X, Y, and Z. I'm telling you, the X, Y, and Z is much more intense than that, right? Leadership means you got to be willing to step out on the arena, not only face your adversaries, but face those that are sitting in the cheap seats and that would judge you. And gentlemen, if you have the courage to do that, to make a difference in your community, you will change the world. God bless you, and thank you for your courage and leadership.
Thank you very much, President White. So would you give the leadership staff and its students another round of applause, please, for that great work they've done, that leadership. Thank you very much. Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Um, 15 minutes, all right? Yes.
Welcome my colleagues to the dais. I'm going to be convening a meeting until the president is back and available. I'm going to ask for an act of reverence and pledge of allegiance to the flag, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Powell if she would be so kind as to lead us. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. I need a motion for the approval of a number of business meeting minutes, January 10th, January 15th, a special meeting January 17th. The January 15th meeting was a special meeting. The January 10th meeting was a business meeting. Special meeting of March 22nd, business meeting March 14th, business meeting March 28th, special meeting April 5th. I guess our staff has been working on minutes. Special meeting minutes April 9th, business meeting April 11th, special meeting April 16th, special meeting minutes April 23rd, business meeting April 25th, special meeting May 7th, and lastly, business meeting May 9th. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Can I get a second? All in favor? Thank you. And I understand we're going to switch the agenda to have school number 45 to be spotlighted. I'm not sure who's doing that. That's the Superintendent Loingard.
This will just take a few minutes, and then we'll get right back to the speakers.
My vice principal, Heather Bellinger, our ELRC, Rob Schneider, our vice principal, and Louis Zarate, who is our community support person. So let's talk a little bit about it. We say that in getting off receivership, we have a fleet of resources to get off receivership, and they include a bunch of different ships: scholarship, relationships, partnerships, leadership, and data ownership. And so we're going to walk a little bit through those things and how all of those pieces came together to really turn around a school that had been struggling for a number of years. And of course, all of those things have always centered around the children. So leadership. Our school is a Leader in Me school, and we celebrate leadership throughout the day. We have a 45-minute leadership block every day where we focus on what leadership means in self, school, and community. And within that, we build relationships with our students and get them out into the community, affecting change. Building a community of leaders is our vision. Leadership in self, leadership in the school, and leadership in the community. This is actually our corner store that the kids redid. So then there's leadership in academics and what that means. And we have this thing in our building called WIGs. And WIGs are wildly important goals. And we have a school-wide WIG, and we have classroom goals that align to that WIG, and we have student goals that align to that WIG, and we have this culture of goal setting in our school that's really prevalent. So I'll show you what that looks like. So this is the classroom WIGs and how they align to our WIG, and then the students have some WIGs, and when they meet their goals in our school, they come down to our office and they ring their bell and they go out into the atrium and everybody celebrates them for the goals that they've met. I want to show a little video.
We met our goals.
You met your goals? Okay, who's going first?
I go.
Okay, go ahead, Juan. What happened?
I went to a level I to a level L. I went there. I was using the vowel teams so I could meet my goal.
That was your strategy? Oh my gosh, Kmar.
Kmar, you're next.
Why are you here?
I went to a level G to a level L.
You went from a G to an L? What did you do?
I read all the way to March and then I began to meet my goal.
You did a lot of reading? Oh my goodness, that's a great strategy. All right, mister. Why are you here?
I went to a O to a P.
You went to an L to a P? L, M, N, O? Oh,
No,
O
O
to
to P.
Oh my gosh.
And I read all the way to, I read really fast on each word.
Were you working on fluency?
Yes, and I stopped at the periods and the commas.
And that's the strategy you worked on. Howard?
So that's a big piece of what our culture is. Our students recognize that goal setting is going to get them to meet some really high expectations that our building has. And it's really just a big piece of our culture. The next thing we want to talk about is, Louis is going to talk about our partnerships and how partnerships really lifted up our school.
Hello, once again, my name is Louis Zarate. I work for the Center for Youth Services, full-time at 45. I've been there for about 5 years. And I'll tell you what, it's been an amazing ride. It's been, the transformation has been significant. It's just awesome. Like Rhonda mentioned, all the different ships. My favorite is the relationship. Building a genuine relationship with our, not only our families and our scholars, but our school partners has been really the root of our work. If you're seeing, looking at the slide, that's one of our areas in the building, the food pantry. We have an emergency food pantry. As a community school, we're kind of required to have one. We kind of established ours before it was required. So we built that relationship with FoodLink. We had food drives that was student-led, and we're just doing amazing work. Again, to mention the WIGs that Rhonda spoke about, our partners are also on board with the WIG, the goal setting. So we kind of monitor them and just kind of help support them achieve their goals as well. You watch the slide there with one of our neighboring partners, which is our corner store. There's a mural being painted. Sean Dunwoody was there to support. I'm a mural artist as well, so we had kids out there. I mean, it was just a fantastic day. I want to highlight today one of our partners, Day of Caring. Penfield High School kids came out alongside with some of our leaders, and we redid the gardens, cleaned up the school, did a lot of giving back. So today was an exhausting and amazing day as well. I wanted to talk so much about our partners. A big focus amongst our partners is collaboration, not cooperation. So just so you know, again, relationships amongst the partners is crucial. And we make sure that they understand the community work, the framework, and that they're aligned to all of our, not only school-wide goals, but our, priorities. So there's a couple more of our partners, G2, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, of course, Center for Youth. When I first entered 45 School, Center for Youth, we had some prevention education specialists and one family child therapist, excuse me. Now we have 10 full-time Center for Youth staff to really focus on the social-emotional component in our building. We're doing amazing work. So we're meeting the needs of all the students and families. We're there for them with open arms and to help them out with their issues. I think I want to wrap it up there. I mean, we're just doing an awesome job. I've seen so much growth at 45 School. I'm fully invested, and our Center for Youth staff is as well, and we're just happy to be a part of that team. Thanks.
Hi, Patty Brockler, finishing my 29th year as a privileged member of this community. Louis talked about relationships, and you can't achieve anything without having solid relationships, caring relationships, loving relationships among your staff and among your students and among your families. It's where it starts. We set high expectations for our kids, but we have to know in the minute what their needs are, and we have to be responsive to their needs. We've put a system in place in our school, many systems in place in our school, but one that helps us know immediately what our kids need. And so we developed our school around a house system. We have an EPK2 house. We have, well, actually EPK3. We are already making changes for next year. EPK2, 4 through 6, and then 7 and 8. And we're going to modify it slightly next year. What that allowed us to do, and you can barely see it up there on the screen, was that there were targeted people for every house. When you're in a school as large as School 45 with 600 plus kids and over 125 staff members, everybody needs to know where to go. And this system allowed everyone to know where to go. Teachers knew who their Center for Youth Crisis Family Therapist was. They knew their crisis intervention staff members. And so it was really important for us to know that, yes, we're attending to the academic needs of kids, but we were also attending to the social emotional needs as well. And so we put this house system together for exactly that purpose. You can see, if you can see the slide in year 1, the resources that we have available to us. With our partnership with First Center for Youth, we were able to expand the opportunities that we had available for our children. We increased the number of family therapists. We really thought carefully about how to use our counselors. And as a result, we have over 200 of our kids receiving some level of social emotional support every day. And it looks differently depending on the conversation with kids, the conversations with their families, what they feel they need, what we are able to put together to offer them. So it may be small buddy groups, it might be a lunch buddy group, it might be one-to-one counseling, it might be that you've become the lead of the Master Gardener program in our school. It might be that you sat and developed a teacher assistant program because you needed to be able to have a leadership responsibility where your voice was heard. There's a plethora of things that we offer. The slide that's in front of you today is we put a system, a form together, actually, a community referral form where the teacher, coach, anyone actually can fill out this form, and it immediately links to the person on staff that is responsible for providing that level of service. So we're working in real time, addressing the issues as they need to be addressed so our kids can feel good about themselves, have opportunity for leadership, and then spend time focusing on academic needs. We believe in our kids. As a result of this, forging this relationship with the kids and with our teachers, we have more parents contacting us and trusting us to help their children in ways that they need help than we've ever had before. We've seen that growth, we've seen that trust grow because of the relationships we're building.
Hello, I'm Heather Ballinger. I'm one of the administrators. I work with our Red House, our youngest house of students, and I'm going to talk about scholarship and our instructional priorities at 45 School. From the beginning, 4 years ago, we really put in place and implemented a cohesive curriculum for grades K through 8, the units of study in both reading and writing. This really allows our teachers to have the same common language for mini lessons, small groups, and conferences with kids. They have writing checklists and reading progressions that you can see what students should be able to do and what teachers need to teach at each and every grade level. It really allows teachers to scaffold instruction, and this is where you get a lot of our conferring with students, where they set their goal-setting conferences and can then go visit Ms. Moran's office and share everything they've been working on. A lot of that does happen in the conferences that kids have with teachers for goal setting. As the teachers have also learned more about the units of study over the last couple of years, we've also started to transition our professional development to include learning labs. And this is where teachers and coaches actually go into classrooms for their professional development. Teachers will coach teachers side by side with their coach and give feedback to each other immediately on how to best improve their teaching practice. And it's really great to have kids there with you as you're doing it, and teachers are also providing that feedback to each other. And we're not going to forget about math either. Last year we implemented Zern at grades 3 through 5, and this year we also added K2 to make sure we had that continuum in our building. And they're doing a lot with school-wide competitions, competing for who's actually making the most progress through their lessons, and that really engages kids and holds them accountable. For our line system of support, we're shifting and making a transition as our students have made progress. So for the first 4 years, our coach and intervention teachers mainly focused as a triage team, moving our most intensive need kids in Tier 3 to Tier 2 through RTI blocks that we had scheduled at the same time across the building. So a team of teachers could go into a grade level for a 40-minute block and provide lots of resources. Looking at the progress our students have made over the last 4 years, next year we're shifting towards a different system where we're going to focus more on Tier 1 teaching. So that means that our intervention teachers will also serve as a grade level leader at each grade so that they can support that instruction on a daily basis. Also too, at middle school, we really made sure it was student-centered. They also have an RTI block or differentiated support block where they get intervention or also have the opportunity for enrichment and Genius Hour. They're also using more small group instruction in the workshop format in their content area classes. And even going forward into next year, they're going to work more on writing a humanities-based curriculum that will really align the reading and writing strategies taught in content areas across all content areas with reading and writing. And then this is just a really quick video of one of the kids' academic celebrations following one of our reading and writing units, where the whole school came out to cheer on a grade level for all the work that they did over the course of the unit.
Getting ready to celebrate the end of our unit of study. Let's go intermediate! Oh, I love your books. Good job, intermediate. Way to be scholars.
All right, and I'm Rob Snyder. I'm the assistant principal for the middle school, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we use data in our school. We use data top-down, administrators, teachers, students, right to the point where students know where they stand on every assessment, and they're setting goals for where they're going to be going forward. We're off receivership, so as you can see, we've met our indicators. We've made that progress each year. So this is a number that stuck with the administrative team for a while. When the administrative team first arrived to 45 school, 26 third graders, about 50% of the third grade, didn't know their letters and sounds. So these are kids in 9th grade that don't know their letters and sounds, 50% of the grade level. If we fast forward to the end of last school year, 85% of our kindergartners knew their letters and sounds. So that's just showing where all of those things kind of culminate, the difference that it's making in our school. So this is an example of how we track the data on an administrative level and the coaches. As you can see, we follow each cohort. This is using running reading records, and then we can track the progress being made, and then we narrow that down right down to the individual classes and the students. So when they arrive, teachers know who's in their intervention groups and what they need to be doing in order to move each student. This is something we started doing this year in the middle school. We had a huge number of referrals. I believe the number last year is about 1,600 referrals were written. And our goal is to reduce it, but if you're not monitoring that number, it's really hard to reduce it. And so we started monitoring on an administrative level, and we realized the kids really aren't aware of it. Like, the kid might get a referral every week, but he's not thinking I'm getting a referral every week. So what we did is we put data walls outside, and we use the kids' ID numbers in the left-hand column, and they can see their progress every month and the number of referrals that they're getting. And it can be an indicator for us if we need to then send them or recommend them towards one of our agencies. And then this is just to highlight the growth that we've made in our New York State exams, both math and ELA. And then again in the science exams. So as you can see, we had a little dip last year, but it's been a steady growth. Specifically in that 8th grade science exam, we went from 1.7 all the way up to, we were 17.5, 19 the year before that. Fairly confident that with the interventions we put in place this year, that we can see that number go up drastically when the results come back this year. Thank you.
So we don't want you to just take our word for it. We want you to hear from the kids for a sec.
Breaking news, we are here live at 2:45. I'm Mr. Mason. I'm here with a couple of our student athletes, a couple of scholars from in our building. And I have Javon Mason, I have Kajiana Britt, I have Sarah Finn, and I have Stephanie Marquez. And today we're going to describe what impacts School 45 had on us over the years that we've been here. And I'm going to start off with Kajiana Britt.
45 helped me look my mind into a better path. And so I wanted to continue for like my younger brothers and sisters and following students in this building.
Okay. And then we're going to go over to Javon Mason.
Well, what impacted me in School 45 is the teachers, because they made my grade higher and stuff, and then they helped me with situations in and out of school.
Okay. And Sarah.
The impact that I have going to School 45 is that this is a community school, so like we have the outside agencies and inside agencies helping the school and students around the school and outside the school and stuff. And then I'm a part of the Lighthouse team, and that's helping the students have a voice for other students, and it helps like open up like your person and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And Stephanie Marquez.
One thing that impacted me was like something with the sports. Because we have a couple of sports, like we have basketball, baseball, volleyball, softball. And like the sports help the players like get them, like they come together and like they grow a bond. Like we like our own little family here. And so like if something's wrong, like we can all lean on each other and like that.
That's great. That's great.
We need your continued support, ICSD.
And we're back to you, Miss Maureen.
Peace, y'all.
Mr. President, I just wanted to acknowledge School 45. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that you came from School 23 as a principal. So I remember probably your first week or so over at School 45, and you know, in the situation that the school was in. And so I just want to congratulate you, you know, because I think I had some strong words of encouragement for you when I was over there to, you know, take care of the students that are over there. And so I thank you for doing that, and that here we have another school that's in good standing, but it takes the leadership like you all, and putting our students first in order to ensure that our students succeed. And as you know, our children do want to learn. And so, but we just have to make sure that we're putting in the effort, and it's not always easy. And so thank you so very much for putting in that effort and not allowing our children to fail. Thank you so very much.
I want to thank Superintendent Loengard for contributing this idea of spotlighting. There quite honestly can't be enough good news for this district, and the reality is it exists out there, but we just don't point it out. The headlines always seem to gravitate towards the negative. There's a lot of good things happening in our district, and thank you, Dan, for coming up with an approach that reminds people that there are good things happening. On the bad note, let me just say, sometimes these meetings, you all have seen it, get a bit distracted, and I want to clarify what's going to happen if it gets distracted here, just so that my response or the board's response isn't reviewed negatively. We have rules. We're about to have a speakers list, and we have quite a few speakers on for tonight. Everybody understands when they called in that they have 3 minutes to speak. You will be given your 3 minutes. But we want to set the best example possible for our children. If you understand you have 3 minutes, when that buzzer goes off, it is important that you walk away from, summarize your remarks, we'll give you the time to do that, but then you walk away from this, the microphone. We want to show our children that we, who ask them to abide by rules, that we can do the same thing. The other thing that I want to say is, if you don't do that, or if you are disrespectful, I'm going to tell you up front what's going to happen. People usually don't tell you what they're going to do. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. we have this thing called executive session. Our general counsel will tell you there are things that we cannot talk about in public. We have to talk about them privately. So if somebody gets up and doesn't abide by the rules or sets a bad example for our children, what I'm going to do, and I already have colleagues who are going to do it, is I'm going to call for executive session. And that means we'll talk about those things which we have to talk about privately. I will immediately bang the gavel, and we will go back and take care of business that we have to talk about privately. That will mean that anybody who's following that, unfortunately, particularly if it's a young person or a parent that has to cook dinner or be at home and read to their children, they're not going to be able to do that or speak. So it's important that if you have something to say, that you say it within 3 minutes, and most importantly, you say it in a respectful and responsible way. If we do that, we'll be able to proceed with, through this meeting in a way that will make everybody proud. Are we in agreement to do that? We want to make our children proud. Just nod your head if you agree with me. We want to make our children proud of us. All right, I see a lot of children shaking their heads. I think I see some adults doing that. All right, so we're good there. So let's begin. We have a speakers list, some folks addressing an agenda item and some that are not. Everybody will have 3 minutes. If you can't complete within the 3 minutes, I'll tell you, you'll know 3 minutes about to be up, and then you'll walk away from the podium. If you have to just speak to a board member or a commissioner about something that you didn't get to finish, we are all accessible by phone or email, and I would encourage you to do that. So let's begin with Brooklyn Papura. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Come on up.
I'm a scholar at school number 10. I'm in the 6th grade this year.
That's okay, that's okay. So we just take the mic, put it a little closer to your mouth. There you go.
I'm a scholar at school number 10. I'm a 6th grader this year. This is my first year here at school number 10. I have had many ups and downs throughout the year. Mrs. Clyburn has helped me improve with my academics and my behavior. She has helped me learn that to better yourself, you have to be the change. I have come a long way with the help of Ms. Clyburn and Ms. Washington. Not only is Ms. Clyburn a principal, she's a friend, and to be honest, she is more like a mom here at school. She's also a very hard worker. Please keep her here as school number 10 to keep our Cooper family together. You know, I would encourage the thunderous applause, because when our young people have the courage to speak their minds, that's something we want to encourage our district. So I'm going to be applauding everything these young people say. Maya Adams.
My name is Maya Adams, and I have been a student at School 10 for 8 years now, including my pre-K years. In all my time at school, I don't remember a day when Miss Clyburn wasn't there. The school wouldn't be what it is if she wasn't there. She has dealt with many problems and has always found a solution. I can't imagine what the school would be without her.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Sarah Adams is next. Okay, I thought I had, and I might not, I thought I had an updated list. Sir, what's your name? Step up to the mic, tell me your name.
My name is Elijah Espada. I'm a scholar at School 10. Yes.
All right, well, why don't you, I don't have you on the list, but go ahead, talk your mind, speak your mind.
We do have a petition here to keep Miss Clyburn in the school. I'd like if you guys would like to see it.
Elijah, why don't you give it to that young lady right there? Give it to that young lady right there. Elijah, did you want to say something on top of that petition? No. Okay, all right, cool. Nice job, nice job. Sarah Adams.
My name is Sarah Adams, and I'm a former student at Dr. Walter Cooper Academy. I went there all the way through kindergarten to 6th grade, and I know from experience that Mrs. Clyburn that moving Mrs. Clyburn out would be a horrible decision. Over the past 7 years, she has helped me become a better person and student. She builds relationships with every student and makes sure that they're comfortable. Ms. Clyburn knows how to make the kids feel loved and happy when they might be going through something. And she also knows how to make a kid straighten up their behavior without removing them from the classroom or breaking a relationship. Not everyone has the ability and energy to do what she does. I may not know much, but I do know that nobody will be able to do what Mrs. Clyburn does, and you're making a huge mistake removing her from the school. Thank you.
Nick Camione Lind, I might mispronounce it. Help me out with pronouncing your name, sir.
Camione Lind.
Camione Lind. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes. Hello, I am Nick Camione Lind. I'm a freshman at SOTA, and I attended Cooper Academy School from kindergarten through 6th grade. I've known Miss Clyburn my whole schooling life. She was always there for me and my peers. She was there when I needed a hand to hold and someone to laugh with. She encouraged me to reach beyond the stars. Everything she's ever done is to help others grow. Her sense of style has always made me smile. She has, to this very day, a certain kind of charm that no one can even think to replicate. She could always point out a mistake in a kind and caring way. My family has been with her for 10 years, since 2009. We got to know her as my family tried to make the right school choice for me to go to kindergarten. When we found her at school 10, we followed because we loved her so much from my preschool experience that 13 years of each of our lives in just a few years will have been shared with her. I was in the first ever kindergarten class at SOTA. Not SOTA, dang it, at school 10. Yes, because SOTA has a kindergarten class. I spent K through 6 in Miss Clyburn's school under her leadership and mentorship. I've got 2 siblings there now, a 3rd grader and a 5th grader. She's one of my heroes. Please give her the chance to be the hero of everyone's lives. Don't take her away.
Francis Camione Lind. Francis.
You got it? You want to read it? You want me to read it?
My name is Francis Camione Lind, and I'm a 5th grader at number 10. Miss Clyburn has known me since I was 6 months old, and she has helped me with things. She's helped me with things I can't solve for all that time, so please don't take her away from me.
Malcolm Camione Lind. Malcolm.
My name is Malcolm, and I am in 3rd grade at Dr. Walter Cooper Academy, School 10. I want Miss Clyburn to be my principal. She has known me my entire life, literally, since my mom got pregnant for me. I want to spend the next 3 years of elementary school at School 10 with her as principal. Miss Clyburn supports me at school, and she supported me after I had a bad accident in 1st grade. She cares about me. She cares about our school. I want her to stay at School 10. Thank you.
Thank you. Destiny Ford. Destiny Ford. Destiny Ford. Howard Eagle. All right. I think we got everybody. I know there were some folks that wanted to, hold on now. I know there were some folks that didn't make it on the list, didn't call on time, but we extended the time. Is there somebody, hold on, relax, hold on. Who else called and didn't get on the, no, I know there's some other, hold on, folks. There's another list. I'm just dealing with folks who are addressing an agenda item. Are there any other young people? Because that was the concern, that young people had called and called too late. Young lady, you want to come on up? I'm just trying to make sure we get our young people at the podium. All right.
My name is Jamani Penn. I have known Miss Clyburn since I was a kindergartner. I was in the first kindergarten class ever in 2009, and I went there until I was in 5th grade. Miss Clyburn is my godmother, and that's one thing that you guys should know, that she's able to build great bonds with everyone. Although I didn't go there my whole elementary school career, I wish I did, because she is just a wonderful person, and she helped me through a lot. She builds great bonds with every student at that school, and she even knows them by name. If you take her away, a lot of children will be devastated. A lot of children at that school don't have parents who take care of them the way a parent should, but Ms. Clyburn is a mother figure for almost everyone at that school. It just disappoints me that the city school district is making this decision based off of statistics and stuff that they won't really understand, because they don't know her the way these children know her. You can see children crying. Everyone is just heartbroken right now, and it's just confusing. I don't understand why you guys are doing this. And I honestly need answers, because this has to change.
Keep on hearing from these young people. Now, we do have some rules. We had to say people had to call in, but I think we have time to take one or two more young people, because this is really good to hear our young people speak for themselves in such a powerful and articulate way. Let's give our young people a round of applause. This is what democracy is about. I did see one other young hand raise their hand. Is there another young person back there? Are we set? Is it? Oh, come on up. Okay, now, you come on up first, and then you, and I'll take one more, and that's it. Because what I want you all to realize is you have a right, and we are very proud of you that you can speak so forcefully and powerfully. But we also have rules. You're familiar with them, and we have rules that we have to make sure people abide by them. But why don't you three sum it up for us? Go one at a time. Whoever wants to go first.
Okay.
We have been going to Dr. Walter Cooper Academy since we were in kindergarten. I knew Miss Clyburn since we were in kindergarten. She taught us a lot. She taught us how to be brave, and she loves us. It'll be very sad if you take her away.
I've been going to Dr. Walter Cooper Academy since I was in 1st grade. When I first saw Miss Clyburn, she greeted me with a nice smile, and she encouraged us to do things that we would never do. It would be very sad if you take her away, because we love her so much, and you're just taking half of every heart of every student away if you take her away.
I've been going to Dr. Walter Cooper Academy since I was in 1st grade, and Miss Clyburn has taught me a lot of things since I've been there. When I first saw her, she showed me a lot of love, and I don't want them to take her away, because
She is very special to me, and she's like a mother to me.
Great job. Great job. Great job. I see a couple of people wearing a shirt that says Cooper Pride. Well, you have really done your school well. We're very proud of you. Great job. Let's give our young people another round of applause. Okay, Cynthia Clay. Cynthia Clay. Cynthia, oh, there she is, I'm sorry.
All right. My issue is still on racial bias within the city school district. I don't know how it is that the city school district, the board, and the Rochester Teachers Union can have teachers that are so racist that they would belittle students or not have, not give their students a chance. It's a brown paper bag. So if you're lighter than this brown paper bag, then at School 39, with the music teacher, Diane Hamilton, you could get a fair chance in her classroom. It's a brown paper bag. I still haven't gotten any closure for her shoving my son. I did not receive any closure. I can't see any records. I don't know what happened to her. She's going to come back next year and do the same thing she did to my son, maybe even worse, because he's not as light as this brown paper bag. Okay, so when are you going to take your heads out of the sand and do something? Stand up to the teachers union and demand better treatment of our children. If you're dark, you don't get treated fairly. I was at School 42, and every child that was lighter than this seemed to get a scholarship to Hofstein School of Music. Now, I have a problem with that because other children wanted a scholarship, other children were practicing. My child was practicing. Yeah, I have a problem with that because everybody was lighter than this, I seem to remember, that got a scholarship to Hofstein School of Music over the summer. Okay, well, where's my child's scholarship? Where's the darker children's scholarship? What happened to this teacher? She's gonna come back next year. And oh, I'm not satisfied with that meeting I had because did she ever go through diversity training? And if she did, it did not take because she was like a stone in a river. Once you crack it open, it's still dry, it's still prejudiced, it's still racist, and she still shoved my son. Nobody called the police, nobody filed a report. I am not happy, and I will keep coming back here until I get closure. They had a meeting at 8 a.m. in the morning. I told Dr. Green, I can't make it here. My kids don't get on the bus till 9. I made it here at 10, which was the point. I was supposed to be here at a 10 o'clock meeting. They had a meeting at 8 o'clock and called me as though I'm a bad parent and could not make the meeting. I'm not satisfied. When am I going to get closure? I can't see the document, even a redacted form of the document, to show me what did you do to this teacher. Because she has tenure, she can treat my son like this. Because she has tenure, she can come back. Parents, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let these racist teachers continue to destroy our children?
Thank you. Ricardo Adams will be followed by Mary Adams.
So let's talk some real stuff here. First of all, this decision, did anybody think how it would affect these kids? Did anybody think about that? Y'all all know I've been volunteering at these schools for 9 years. Let's don't pretend like I could have did that at any school. Any principal would have let me do that, made me feel welcome for 9 years, and looked out for my kids. And we've invested all this money in Dr. DeGrew. Dr. DeGrew came in here so much, I thought she lived in Rochester. I know that cost us some money. And what was she talking about? The relationship model. Cameron Clyburn is the poster child for relationships. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. Me being there, I'm there as a black man, yeah, these students, like, maybe they listen to me a little more. And one of my students over there, Justin, yeah, he listened to me when I say something to him. Miss Clyburn got that black girl magic. She's so good, she don't even gotta say nothing to him. She just give him a look. She just give him a look and he get right. Come on, man, come on. This is a bad decision. I tell my kids that and every morning, some of them, they make bad decisions in the morning. I say, we can turn it around. We don't have to stay stuck in that bad decision. We still got another whole day. And most of them get on board. All the kids be hugging her. We should be giving Miss Clyburn an award. We should not be up here discussing no nonsense like, for real. And I don't care. They got policies that say do this and do that. That's that Common Core math. This don't add up. She needs to be here, man.
Mary Adams will be followed by Danielle Daniels.
It's really hard to follow my husband. So I had prepared comments, when I'm nervous and trying to say things efficiently, I write my comments down. And what I'm doing here is I'm acknowledging the difficulty of making decisions with incomplete or contradictory knowledge. And I'm also saying that there's a framework of the board and leadership having failed over years to address the importance of real, meaningful global parent leadership and involvement in decision-making, and how this is an expression of a failure, because we had no idea until noon today. And that it's also an expression of the failure of leadership to address communication. These are two major things that are cited over and over and over again. The Distinguished Educator Report was not the first place to cite that, and it probably won't be the last. But I'm just gonna pass this down so you can read if you'd like to. But what I really want to focus on is the fact that this room got filled by could everyone from Dr. Walter Cooper Academy please stand? This room was filled in an order of 4 hours with parent organizing by parents who work and who were slipping out emails and phone calls between their work duties. So this is probably a multiplier of what, like 80 of how many came out to the very important superintendent interview forums. So what this expresses is solidarity. And that solidarity was built over these 9 years of Miss Clyburn's leadership. She's the founding principal of Dr. Walter Cooper Academy. Dr. Walter Cooper himself is in the school on a regular basis. This is a gem within the school district. The reason why we are on receivership has to do with a chronic absenteeism calculation, which is suspect. I can break that down for you gladly in another, when we have time. No shade whatsoever to School 45. I was the liaison when I was a board member to School 45, and I love School 45, and I very much appreciate what Principal Maureen has done, and their staff and their students and their families. That's wonderful. However, when you talk about the WIG and the leveling, that is, the students did express their achievements. It's different from the depth, the consciousness, the spontaneity, the leadership, and the character that you see that has been developed by the Cooper Code under Principal Cameron Clyburn's leadership. She is glue. I won't repeat what the students said, but I want you to recognize the solidarity among the parents and families and staff. We're not at each other's, we're not in opposition with each other. We're in solidarity with each other around our children. And I also want you to recognize how the Cooper Code elements come through. And this is not planned, but do you think you all could do the Cooper Code? All right, so thank you very much. I, express with sympathy to the difficulties in decision making, but please get to the bottom of this and make the right decision. Okay, Cooper Code.
Danielle Daniels, followed by Aria Lind. Okay.
My name is Aria, and I am the proud parent of 3 RCSD scholars. Cameron Clyburn is the beating heart of Dr. Walter Cooper Academy, School Number 10. She pours her heart and soul into our school. She shows up for and advocates for our kids. She listens to families. She is the right leader for our school. She centers kids all the time, no matter what. Our family has been with Cameron Clyburn since 2009. All 3 of our children either went to or currently go to School Number 10. All told, by the time our family ages out of Cooper Academy, we will have been with Mrs. Clyburn for 13 years. 13 years! Do you know what that means? That means that Mrs. Clyburn has known my 9th grader since he was 4, my 5th grader since she was 6 months old. It means that she has known my 3rd grader since birth. It means 13 years of knowing that our family's values are backed up by our school's values, by the values and talents of a strategic, fun, attentive leader who centers kids in everything she does. She has been a steady force of guidance, care, and inspiration for my children. In the 10 years she's been our principal, our district has had 6 superintendents, at least 4 deputy superintendents, and at least 3 school chiefs. She has done more for my children and their educations than any person in executive leadership could hope to do if they stayed in their position from now until my youngest child graduates from high school. Mrs. Clyburn is a constant in a sea of organizational upheaval. She drives an academically rigorous instructional program with the support of a talented team. She makes sure our kids are getting what they need to be whole, healthy people. She values and lifts up parent and family input and discourse. She is navigating us through multiple transitions: CSI receivership, our 2-year displacement at Marshall campus, massive teacher displacement and upheaval. She centers kids all the time, no matter what. Cameron Clyburn's assets are essential to our school's success. Keep Cam Clyburn in her position at Dr. Walter Cooper Academy, School Number 10.
Candace Rubin. Candace Rubin will be followed by Deborah Green. Ms. Green will be followed by Courtney Bentoncourt.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Deborah Green. I'm a teacher with the Rochester City School District's Home Hospital Program. On May 14th, 4 of our teachers were given the news that they will no longer be employed following the last day of this school term. This is devastating to not only those 4 teachers, but also to our program, to our future students, as these 4 teachers are all extraordinary educators. I am asking that this board restore the 4 positions to the home hospital program. The initial analysis presented at the May 7th board meeting was grossly incorrect. For one, the budget director failed to mention that our unit has 5 retirements this year. Even with these retirements, 4 of our teachers are still being laid off. This leaves us minus 9 certified and experienced home hospital teachers as we begin the 2019-2020 school year. These losses, when combined with positions left vacant following retirements from last year, positions, by the way, that HCI has refused to refill. These losses amount to no less than a decimation of the home hospital program. We undoubtedly will require those teaching vacancies to be filled as our program's student enrollment increases steadily as the term progresses. Hiring substitutes, which was suggested by the budget director as a more financially sound alternative, will cost the district more money in the long run, as those substitute teachers will become long-term subs who will eventually begin receiving higher pay and also benefits. The district will end up paying the laid-off teachers under unemployment benefits and back pay as our contract will surely be violated by the hiring of substitutes before April 1st, instead of taking the responsible and ethical direction by recalling the laid-off home hospital teachers. The precedent for this occurred in 1996 following an arbitration which awarded back pay to teachers who had been laid off. Under review presently are 2 grievances by our unit concerning the hiring of substitutes before restoring permanent positions. Again, I stress that the reasoning presented at the May 7th board meeting was faulty. The argument presented did not factor in the imminent retirement of the 5 teachers from the home hospital unit. 3 of those retiring teachers, by the way, are near the high rung of the salary scale. Furthermore, the teachers who have been laid off are earning entry-level salaries as they were all hired just last year. The elimination of 4 low-salary teachers from home hospital will not save the district anything. Again, I implore you to restore those 4 home hospital positions. Thank you.
Thank you. Courtney Bentecourt will be followed by Catherine Holderbaum.
Okay, first I want to start by saying that I am beyond proud of our students. You have become exactly what we always hoped you'd be at a very young age, and you just did something that is so difficult for grown people to do. So I'm beyond proud of you. Good evening, families, RCS staff members, school board members, and special guests. My name is Courtney Bettencourt. I'm the instructional coach at Dr. Walter Cooper Academy. I have officially been a part of the Rochester City School District since 2003. However, unofficially, I have been a part of the school district since 1988, when my mother was hired at School 41 as a 3rd grade teacher. I learned from my mother that when you become a part of the Rochester City School District, the Rochester City School District becomes your family. My family is hurting right now. You see, we received word yesterday that the district is removing our founding principal, Cameron Clyburn, from our building for reasons unbeknownst to us. I'm going to assume this decision has something to do with our recent receivership status. I fear that our superintendent has little faith in our principal's ability to do what needs to be done to improve our school. However, the students, staff, and families at Dr. Walter Cooper Academy know much better. We've watched our principal champion our vision for the last 10 years, through teacher transfers, through changes in chiefs, through changes in school designers, and changes in superintendents. Our principal has remained constant. She has been our force. In 2013, our school became an ELT school. We hoped ELT would offer our students opportunities for achievement and experiences they might not otherwise have, but all it brought was challenge after challenge, hurdle after hurdle. We watched our principal attack all of the challenges that ELT brought. Plan after plan, she worked tirelessly to make ELT work for our school. And after 4 years, when it still failed to help our students, and our scores had plummeted to the lowest they'd been since we opened, she worked effortlessly to remove ELT from our school. And we were the only school that managed to do that on our own. She did that. Just recently, our school was acknowledged this fall for having the highest improving test scores in the entire district. She did that. Our school has also created a new partnership with the Nazareth College School of Education to support our teacher professional development and to provide support for our classroom teachers. She did that. I realize that the superintendent has a responsibility to turn the state of our district around. Our administrators, teachers, staff, and families all have that same responsibility. But moving administrators, teachers, staff, and students around like chess pieces is not going to improve the state of our district. The amount of transition that happens in this district is reckless. Our teachers transfer from building to building year after year. Administrators are plucked from our buildings year after year. Our students transfer schools year after year. Programs change year after year. Our superintendent is different year after year.
If you think continuing this cycle will improve the quality of our district, you're sadly mistaken. The only way to improve this district is stability, consistency, and support. Keep your teachers and staff and administrators where they are. Work on creating systems to support them. Support administrators so they're able to make decisions that positively impact their schools, staff, and students. Provide districts mentors to those administrators that might need support. Partner successful principals with their colleagues so that they might share their knowledge. Provide systematic professional development to teachers in-house that impacts their ability to design quality instruction. Empower your teachers to challenge each other.
Would you please wrap it up?
Yep.
Thank you.
The decision to remove our principal insinuates you believe the responsibility is solely hers. It's not. We are working together to support each other. Where I come from at Dr. Walter Cooper Academy, we are family. We will not be divided, we will not fall, and we will never give up.
Catherine Holderbaum. Catherine Holderbaum will be followed by Lisa Silverstein.
Hi, so my name is Catherine Holderbaum, and I'm currently the kindergarten through second grade resource room teacher. Our principal, Karen Clyburn, is an imperative part of our family, and she genuinely loves the students and staff. A quote that I found that really speaks to me, and I really feel that it really tells a lot about Cam, is family isn't always blood. It is the people in our life who want us in theirs, the ones who accept you for who you are, the ones who would do anything to see you smile, who love you no matter what, and that is Cam. Now, I have actually known Cam since 2010 when I did my placement for St. John Fisher, and I remember the day that I met her, she was as happy as the day that it is now. And I started my journey here at Rochester City School District in 2016. And since then, Cam has always been a mentor. She has helped me grow as an educator through being a mentor, a friend, and someone who listens when we all need it. For some people, this job is 9 to 5, not for Cam. It's her whole life. She takes pride in getting to know all of our students and their families. Removing Cam from Dr. Walter Cooper Academy, especially during this time of need, would be an enormous mistake. The issue in the system of how we are dealing with receivership, we were just told we need to have a plan put in place, and we are now trying to figure that out, and now you're trying to rip this person from this entire plan. This is a huge mistake. We have not been given the opportunity to put this plan in place in order to see if we can come together to get out of receivership. And as our mission says, we will never give up. And the students, families, and teachers love Cam, and we will stand behind her 100% of the time. We love you, Cam.
Lisa Silverstein.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Silverstein, and I'm a Rochester City School District home hospital teacher. At the May 7th board meeting, you had a discussion about how much the district could save by laying off home hospital teachers and replacing them with substitutes. This was so wrong on so many levels. First, the numbers given were just plain incorrect. Someone asked what the median home hospital salary was. The answer was probably about $65,000 plus benefits, but the average salary isn't what the district would be saving. The 4 teachers who have been laid off are at the lowest level of the salary schedule, approximately $45,000, not $65,000. To hire a long-term sub on day 1, as you did with 3 this year, it goes up to $231 per day, totaling over $40,000 for the year. These subs also earn benefits after working 61 days, so you don't even save on medical and dental. You will also now have to pay unemployment to the teachers you're laying off, so loss of these positions will actually cost the district more. When considering cost, you also didn't take into consideration the 4 retirements we have this year, and the 3 we had last year. Those were all from the top of the salary scale, teachers who had taught up to 30 years. The median salary, including benefits, would thus not be anywhere near $65,000 now, as stated. Second, All students deserve fully certified teachers. To be a substitute, you just need a bachelor's degree. It could be in anything. The bachelor's recipient might not have ever taken one education class or taught anything to anybody, ever. To maintain a teaching position in New York State, you need not only a bachelor's degree, but a master's degree, at least one of these in education. You need to student teach, pass certification tests, and maintain a level of professional development and excellence in order to keep your job. Subs just provide a warm body. It is short-sighted and disrespectful to our students and teachers to try to eliminate qualified teachers and year after year decimate our unit and replace us with subs. Home hospital teachers provide a mandated service, and it's a violation of education law to entrust what is sometimes a full year of education to an uncertified teacher. Our students deserve better, and the district needs to be cognizant of the negative impacts of these layoffs. There are already 2 grievances filed on the improper use of subs in our unit, one of them already proceeding to a level 3 grievance. Back in 1996, a similar action was attempted and 30 teachers won an arbitration and received back pay for the time they were laid off. In addition, the laid off teachers received unemployment benefits, creating an expense greater than that of simply retaining the teachers. We are fully certified teachers, and we provide the most specialized services to our most vulnerable population. You want to improve graduation rates and support the whole child? You need teachers who can really teach the student who missed 6 weeks of school because she received multiple concussions playing for a school soccer team, the A-plus student who was hit by a bus, the girl who was shot by a stray bullet. If every teenager who had a baby in our district missed 6 to 8 weeks of school after they delivered, they would fail the year and potentially drop out. Without the minimum of a high school diploma, these girls are unlikely to work a job that makes more than minimum wage, perpetuating the cycle of teen moms becoming mothers of teen moms. We help break the cycle of poverty that plagues Rochester. I'm wrapping up. In the budget for next year, 8 home hospital teachers are slated to lose their jobs. After the 10% reduction last year, this is another 25% reduction to our unit. If you keep trying to staff our unit with subs, we lose, our students lose, and you lose. By thinking you're saving a few bucks each year, you are not. The cost is negligible. This is shameful of this district, to cheat fully certified teachers by trying to game the system. I ask you to rerun your numbers. The district does most certainly not have us at the right staffing threshold. It's shameful that we started this year with 3 substitute teachers instead of allowing us to replace our 3 retiring teachers with new hires. It's shameful that we now have 10 substitutes working. I need you to wrap it up. Okay, that we were not approved this year to even hire 1 new teacher, yet we have 10 subs. We're asking that you do the right thing and rescind these layoffs now. We would also like to hire the 2 certified substitutes we offered positions to last summer that the offers the district rescinded. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry I went over.
That's all right. All right, that concludes our list of speakers. I want to say, on behalf of the board, we are very proud, as one parent said, and I'm sure all of you feel, very proud of the young people. It is not an easy thing to take a mic and speak from your heart, and in such an intelligent and articulate way. And we want to encourage you one more time for what you did today by applauding you. Can you help us applaud our young people today? That's a wonderful job. We're very proud of you. Now, I also want you young people to understand that many of you young people here about the process. We're not taking a vote on the individual that you spoke of today. That's not going to happen today. So what I would suggest to you and to your parents is that I'm going to recess for about 5 minutes, which will allow you all to go home, get your dinner, break open your books, start to study. Don't worry, young people, when you leave, no decision is going to be made on that person that you spoke of tonight. But it is important, I think your parents would agree with me, that you go on home, study your books, because I know that's what every loving adult in your building would want you to do. Get your studies done, get some rest, get something to eat. And talk to your parents and your loved ones. They'll tell you what happened with respect to this. Thank you again for coming. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. God bless. Student Leadership Congress report.
The discussion for the Student Leadership Congress meeting on May 22nd, 2019 included new youth, the summer meetings, and the Department of Communications. So in June, we would like to invite new youth to join the Student Leadership Congress the upcoming school year at our June meeting. We will take some time to get to know them and talk to them about their experiences in the district and why they would like to join the Student Leadership Congress. Also, in the summer, we will be hosting 2 planning meetings to prepare ourselves for the upcoming year. This will give us a head start, which will be very important in entering a new school year. Lastly, the Communications Department will be working closely with the Student Leadership Congress. They'll help us with promoting the Student Leadership Congress and student leadership as a whole. They will do this by helping us utilize social media better in order to engage and connect with students in a more effective manner. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is a bilingual council report. I know they've submitted a written report. Is anybody from the bilingual council here? All right. I believe we received a written report. I've asked that my colleagues attend to that and read that as well. Next item on the agenda would be parent council report. There is no report, but I can tell you all that myself and Chief of Staff Linda Simmons met with the folks at Parent Advisory Council. It was a good conversation, and in my presence report, I will update you all on the progress of that meeting. Linda walked away with a number of specific tasks where she thought she could bring some clarity to the concern. Did you want to add anything to that, Dan, or no? No? Okay. All right, so expect that some progress will be reported to the board, and if there's decisions that have to be made, the board will make them. I should tell you all, we made it very clear that the resolution that was passed, and what we needed to do was appropriately look forward and not in the rearview mirror. So look for additional updates, specifically from our able Chief of Staff, Linda Simmons. All right, next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Yeah?
Okay, and I'll try to go through this fairly quickly. Let's see, okay, the first one is the transfer flags. President White was there, Cecilia Adrian Hale from the Chamber of Commerce was there. This has been a tradition for 130 years and is amazing and is well received. The next slide is on the SCEP process. The planning process, it's not the most exciting thing, but I can tell you every school is in the process of planning for next year. And very simply put, you plan the work and then work the plan. And our thanks to our deputies for staying on top of this. The board's going to get a chance to read them in the next coming weeks. The next slide is on National Bike to School. They went to School 23. Our Chief of Staff was one of the bike riders, as was the head of communication. We want to thank them for participating in that great event. The next slide, the Teen Empowerment Luncheon. I use this almost every day. There were 900 people at this luncheon, 900, middle of the day, old, young, white, black, in the city, out of the city. It was just amazing, and it shows us the people that are standing behind our kids. And I think sometimes we get caught listening to some people, and these 900 people want to see our kids succeed. The next slide. This is another one, the Interns of the Year. I had the opportunity, we had over 300 new teachers in this past year. 11 of them were Interns of the Year, and each one of them had a video. They were excited. They, believe it or not, don't stay up with all the politics that sometimes comes with these jobs, but just unbelievable people that would restore your faith in the kind of work that these people do every day. The next thing we have was Small Business Week. Again, I get to go around to a lot of things. This was at BOCES, where we were honoring many of the small businesses that were involved all over the county. And to be quite honest with you, the jobs, the new jobs in the county are all coming from small businesses, not from large corporations, not even from the school district, but from small businesses. So again, we want to thank all the businesses that are supportive. Summer school, lots of information coming out. We're going to have over, I think it is 4,000 kids involved in summer programs. So despite budget cuts and reducing and all that, we still have spots for all the students that need or want summer school. And Bigs and Blue, I was down at City Hall. The mayor honored schools 4, 28, and 35. The police officers have volunteered their time to work with our students, and they go 3 or 4 times to the schools, and I think it's a great partnership. The kids really enjoy it. And our alumni, congratulations, and we hope this all works out great, but we're going over to City Hall tomorrow to start talking to them about approval of our budget. But we do want you to know that many of the people in City Hall are actually graduates of our school. Lachey Harris is an Edison graduate, recently named to the City Council. Willie Lightfoot, another Edison graduate, who's the Vice President of the Council. Malik Evan used to sit up here and is now over there and is the chairman of the Finance Committee, and also a Wilson Magnet School graduate, and LaRon Singletary, who is a graduate of Marshall but is now the chief of police. So we're hoping that all of them are willing to help us as we move through our budget cycle. So that completes my report.
Excellent report, Dan, and to the point, too. Any questions or follow-up commentary on Dan's report? All right. It looks like the next item on the agenda is the third quarter elementary activity accounts and student activity funds report and the 2019 financial report. Will you bring up Everton for that?
Everton,
or Commissioner Powell, do you want to say anything about those? I know Everton is here. There's been a motion. Is there a second to approve the financial reports? Second from? Commissioner Hallmark, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any objections? All right, those reports have been approved. Yes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Student activity funds report?
That's right. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Thank you, Commissioner Hallmark. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any objections? All right, those reports have been approved. All right, Commissioner, Vice President Elliott, you might be in trouble here, your record. What time is it?
Oh, please, I ain't even got to worry.
All right, next item on the agenda is resolutions for consideration. Let's begin with resolutions 837 to 851. EPO.
Somebody go have something to say.
Nothing there?
Not until 8:50.
850.
That's where they start, their grade.
Any, I need a motion to discuss resolutions 837 to 851, which has been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner LeBron. Any questions or comments regarding them? Yep.
8:50. Well. Oh yeah, I have lots of questions on these resolutions. I'm sorry, you guys. So just for 851, just the Regents exam preparation, if someone could just clarify what that actually means. Not just to call out East, but we have several resolutions for Regent exam preparation throughout these resolution packets today. And it doesn't really explain how they're providing extra assistance, and everyone's hours are different. And the pay, of course, is different, but the hours vary too. So I just wanted to understand what they're going to be actually doing to prepare students for the Regents exam. And how many students, too, doesn't say.
Commissioner LeBron, I don't know the exact number of students. I don't have that information for you, but I certainly can forward that back to you. This is for the 8th grade students that are actually going to be taking the Regents exam in June for the history courses. So it's actually ahead of time. What's going to happen is that the lower school day actually ends earlier than the upper school day. So during that time, that's when the teachers will be working. So it's actually an extension beyond the extended day for the upper school teachers that will be taking the students through that process.
Okay, but there's only 2 teachers listed, so only 2 teachers are going to stay behind with the rest of the students?
And again, I don't know, because at that point in time, at the time that they're going to be working with these 8th graders, the rest of the lower school has already dismissed.
Dismissed, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Would you like me to forward you the number of students?
Yes, please.
I can do that.
I would like to compare it to the other
If you'd
resolutions.
get that to me, I'll make sure it gets
Thank you,
that
Dan.
Absolutely.
Anthony. Thank you, that was it.
Thank
You
you.
all set? Yeah. Bless you. Can I get a motion to approve resolutions 837 to 851? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Oh, I'm sorry. No? 850 and 851? You're right.
Yes, I said no to both.
Got that, Madam Clerk?
And no to 851.
Madam Clerk, is a no here to 851? Those resolutions both pass. I need a motion to discuss resolutions 854 to 876. I'm skipping over 852 to 853. Those are tenure resolutions, all right? So we're jumping to, and we'll get a motion to go into executive session on those. 854 to 876, human capital initiatives. Can I get a motion to discuss?
Second.
By Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Powell. Any questions or comments regarding resolutions 854 to 876?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
we just got notice that you guys are not speaking into your microphones,
I'm
please.
sorry. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Is it on? Okay.
That's the thing for the communications guy to do. Thank you, Carlos. All right.
Van, though, there's no resolutions in 871, 872, 873, 874, 875, 876 are just graded out. So we have to vote on the actual resolution?
Well, that's fine, but generally what I do is I call the range. And if we're voting on nothing, it's not a problem. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's not a problem to vote. You're saying there's nothing in the last series of resolutions.
Correct. It just stops at 870.
What we could ask the clerk to do in the future, and I think they used to do that, is sort of edit this.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Francine for stepping in on behalf of the board. This is your first day back in the job, I think? No, second session? So what Commissioner LeBron is suggesting, and they haven't always done this, by the way, but if you notice that in the range, there's some that aren't really filled out, just if you could, just edit the range from, 852 to...
Okay, yeah.
But in the meantime, I need a motion to discuss resolutions 852, 853. Commissioner LeBron. I'm sorry, 854 to 876. Commissioner LeBron has made that motion. Second by Commissioner Powell. Any further questions or comments regarding resolutions 854 to 876? There being no questions or comments, all those in favor of human capital initiatives 854 to 876 say aye. Aye.
And for myself, yes to 865 and yes to 868, and no to the rest.
You got that, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm a no to 867.
My math is right. Those resolutions, however, pass. I next need a motion to discuss resolutions 877 to 884. Moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Powell. Any questions or comments regarding resolutions 877 to 884?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 878, I just wanted to understand, this is also Regents preparation. And in this one, it's not teachers, but the re-administrators to supervise students for an hour and a half, and I just need to understand, like, why we need 3 administrators to supervise kids and how many adults besides the administrators are going to be there. Like, what's the ratio?
So this is an amendment to a resolution that was sent through February 28th. So all the teachers are listed there.
I'm sorry, can I just also add, because I see that in a few of the resolutions today, when we do have amendments, is there a way to get the original resolution that was voted on attached somewhere as an additional, I'm sorry, not to cut you off, Ms. Wilson, this is kind of a conversation for that.
Sure.
If we can get that attached, because I don't remember the February 28th resolution 671, and I did try to look for it today, but I have very limited time myself, but I just feel like if we're making amendments to resolutions that we already passed, we're not going to be able to recall what those resolutions were. So I don't know how many teachers were on that original resolution. Okay, continue. Thank you.
All right. So the sessions are both Monday and Saturday. The administrators are there to support the overall work of the teachers and connections with the families. And so they're there to ensure the arrival, dismissal, but they're also there, they're doing a lot of Regents prep, which means practice exams, unpacking data, to use that data to drive what they do to support the students. So the administrators are involved in that work, along with the teachers. And they're not all working at the same time. So you see a different amount of hours.
Okay.
So there's one working one Saturday and so on.
Okay,
right?
that's what
They're
I
all
wanted to
working different
understand. If we were
sessions.
going to have 3 administrators.
No, not all at once.
At once, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. No more
good there?
questions. Yep, on those. Thank you.
Yep. All those in favor of, any other questions or comments?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to the deliverables, there's several in here where the professional learning materials are on a shared Google website. Are those professional development materials, is that a course now that educators or administrators can take online? Is that the deliverable?
Beth or Cecilia, did you hear the question?
I did not.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh,
You wanna-
when it comes to some of the items in the additional pay, it was to create professional learning materials that will be available on a shared Google website. Are those materials for persons to go in and take professional learning online?
Good evening, Board. The materials are made available for anyone's use. It does not mean that there is a course that will accompany it unless that's stated in the deliverable.
So it's just that the persons who took the course, they're the ones who get the benefit of the course, but they're gonna just have.
No, if they are made available on Google Drive and they're shared, you don't have to have been at the course to get the materials.
Okay.
Okay, the materials are made available to anyone. But if there's going to be a course online, it will say that in the deliverable.
Okay, so the person could go in and access them, but they haven't had the course, they don't know
Right.
necessarily how to
If
utilize.
they're, sometimes it could just be something that would enhance someone else's course. If you don't need an additional explanation, so it will be some of the materials, or it could be all, and then they could call the director for additional support if that's what they need.
So the money is being spent to create those materials to put online? The money is for the persons to come together to create the materials to put online?
Which one are you referencing in particular? Right.
This one is for Power.
Here comes
Page 47.
Oh, we're not there.
It's a curricular and professional development. There's a few of them in here where they said the materials will be available on Google.
Can I just add, though, that we're not there yet, and I have questions about some of those resolutions later on?
Oh, okay.
I have some similar questions, but
Okay. I thought he went to 884.
no, not yet.
Yeah, I did go to 884.
Oh, we are
went to-
already?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, my apologies. I do need to, I also want to ask about 880, but
Okay, but let her finish.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So we're talking about the Google website available to all staff. Those would be curriculum that is created for blended advanced placement. and advanced placement teachers would have access to the materials that are created as resources that they can use in their classroom. So any teacher, for example, teaching in a U.S. History Advanced Placement course would have access to the materials that were created.
Do we have a way of tracking how often those materials were accessed and who used them and how they were implemented?
We can see who has accessed those materials and who we have shared those documents with once they've been released. Yes, we can.
So is there a return on investment, the cost of putting it together, and the actual usage by the district?
That's not something that we've put together at this moment, but that's something that we can certainly look at. When we put something together like this, we try to make it open to all staff across the district so that they have more robust materials to draw from.
But this is to pay people to develop it, right?
That is correct, yes, yes.
So if that's possible to know, are these materials being actually accessed? Is it worth the cost? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, we can do that, but we also offer the advanced placement course virtually to students. So for example, a virtual AP course in computer science, for example, would be available to all students to take with one of our virtual academy teachers. They take that course virtually, but we also make those materials available to other teachers that are teaching a traditional style in face-to-face classrooms.
I think what Commissioner Davis is looking for is the usage of them once they're developed.
We can track that, yes. Yes, we can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner LeBron, you had some questions in that range of 877 to 884?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, so I'm gonna go back through, I'm sorry, guys. So on page 28, the principal pipeline grant, I'm a little bit confused, like why we're paying this individual if the chief that's listed is also the principal or director and we're paying someone else. So I'm not understanding what this particular individual is gonna do for $9,240. So that was that question on that. I really hate that these resolutions are muddled all together because on page 33, I have a question about the Perkins grant and if this is going to be available district-wide, and if this is an elective, it says new career and financial management course. On page 37, I would like to get clarity around how the CIT new mentor training program folks were selected, and then also why they appear in 3 back-to-back resolutions for $30,000, $18,900, and then $17,150. Back-to-back, it's all the same individuals, so I'm kind of confused why wasn't this, I'm just confused as to why we have the same individuals getting paid under different type of programs, but it's the same people, but all listed under CIT. And I see one is a new teacher orientation, and then there's a new teacher professional learning training, but this one is also a new mentor training, but it's all the same people. Page 41, I need to understand why we're paying a counselor to do some assessments for new entrants and transcripts, and why that's not a permanent position in that office, as that's something that does come up frequently for ESOL, bilingual and monolingual social settings. You want me to stop and okay, go ahead. Go back.
Could we do them in order back to page 28?
Yes.
And Adonia, could you come up and explain that one, and we'll go through them.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
So your question, Commissioner LeBron?
So my question is, it's my understanding that you are going to be overseeing this. So I could be.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so if you're overseeing it, what is this particular individual going to be in charge of doing if you're overseeing it?
She will actually be serving as the program, what's the word I'm looking for? She's managing all of the paperwork She's pulling together all of the materials that we will use when we do the class sessions. She is dealing with paperwork and communications from Bank Street, as well as the New York City Leadership Academy. So she's doing project management type work. She's not actually doing the delivery.
But in this case, this person is working from June 1st till the end of the summer.
Correct.
For 264 hours.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, because as a teacher, she doesn't work during the summer.
Okay.
And so this would be her summer hours.
And the June dates?
Yes, June 1st, which is a Saturday, which is the orientation session for the Rock Urban program. And her other hours are summer hours for the 4-week summer intensive.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, your next one?
Yeah, well, school doesn't end until the end of June, but she's going to start before school ends, or she'll be doing
the Saturday, June 1st is the orientation session.
So she'll
it's
be
a day-long
working on Saturday.
orientation session.
Okay.
That's
Yep,
a
all set
Saturday.
with that question.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
the
Ms. Adom.
next question was page 33? I think?
Yes. So this is for curriculum development. So I always have lots of questions when I keep seeing curriculum development, anything in the district, and I brought this up before because I just don't understand why we're constantly writing curriculum, but I wanted to understand if the new career and financial management course and the new career readiness assessment, this is going to be available district-wide, and if this is going to be an elective for students.
This course will be available to our high school students. It is a new course. And what was the other part of your question?
If it's an elective.
It is. It's an elective. And Commissioner, you will see curriculum development going on for a while because we have to update and or create new courses.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next page was
37. So the CIT New Mentor Training Program, I just wanted to understand how these individuals were selected, what the process was. But then as I was reading, they're back to back, they're all under the same number resolution, but these same individuals are going to go through this new mentor training, and then they're going to go into the new teacher orientation. Then they're going to go into more mentor and professional learning training. And these are a lot of hours, too, that some of them are getting. Like one individual, apparently the coordinator for the first portion is getting 270 hours. But I also see it's all summer school stuff. I just need to understand what this all is.
Okay.
And the last one, I feel like we're paying them to do some more training. We're paying them to do the training they just did in the first part. So I just needed clarity.
Commissioner,
Yes.
I am not able to answer all of your questions. And the coordinator of the project is not here yet. So he should be here in a little bit, okay? And so then I'll come back up.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Okay, if we can call him and let him know that he's okay.
And then 41, for the counselor doing assessments on new entrants, transcripts, and CR Part 154 guidelines for the placement appropriate bilingual, ESL, and monolingual social settings. I thought we had staff in the office, the placement office that does that. And if we don't, why isn't this a permanent position? Because we do get a lot of students that would fall under this category for having assessments done.
Commissioner, that person is the permanent placement counselor. She's a 10-month employee, and supplementally, we need to make sure that she's available for extended hours as families transition into the district. She conducts continuous records review, credit review, and also bilingual assessment administrative evaluation review to make sure that students are placed and assigned in the appropriate program and in a timely manner. So she's the core person.
So she's the core person, but she's only a 10-month employee, even though we're getting placements in the summer too. Students are registering.
Contractually, because she falls under the RTA collective bargaining agreement, yes.
Okay. Can I put this in the question log? I'm letting Francine know, so I'll ask this question, because I would like to understand how much it's gonna cost, how much this individual is making in 10 months, how much they would make in 12 months, and what the cost difference is for us doing it this way versus just having them as a 12-month employee.
Okay.
Thank you.
That we want to know whether it makes sense to make somebody 12-month versus 10-month.
Yeah, and if there might be a cost savings by having
The
them.
odds are we're doing this way to save money, but we'll check.
We'll check.
Right.
I would like to see the numbers.
Right.
We'll give you the difference.
Yeah.
Now I gotta double check all these numbers. Page 47, is that part of this?
Yes.
Of the numbers, it is?
Yes.
So, just the general funds for summer learning, I just wanted to understand if what these individuals are doing for summer learning is different from the registrars, which is earlier in this proposal that we hired the registrars to do all of the schedules, which I understand we must do. But why wouldn't those registrars also be doing summer learning? Since they're gonna start in the summer.
Yeah, come on.
So there are several summer learning, however, the registrars are also 10-month, and then we bring them on for the summer, just for the summer program, primarily for the commencement, but they have to establish the schedules. The other ones, some in here are for the administrators for some of their planning time for summer that currently have a full-time position in the district. And then some of it is for curriculum planning and lesson planning and preparation for the professional development that needs to occur for the summer program.
Okay, but this one, on page 47, it specifically talks about Power School and building summer classes. And the other, I'm trying to find the page because it's on here. Because I saw the registrars that is on the resolution. And there's a lot of them. And it had similar language, so I'm just trying to understand why they would not be under that type of resolution or doing the same work.
So I think I would have to refer to the other resolution. This is specifically, around Power School and summer school and the courses offered in summer school. There are summer school registrars in another, I do remember, it is in another resolution that is specifically about creating master schedules for schools for the fall.
Yes.
So there are two different ones, two different functions that a registrar does. And also, every summer we have done that with registrars, particularly this summer while we're booting up for the new Power School system as well. So two different functions of a similar role.
Okay, but they couldn't do that work? Is that what you're saying?
The role can, but the time allotted, one is strictly to do the coordination for the summer courses and work, and the other one is specifically for setting up master schedules for the fall. So that level of work takes that much time from the different individuals.
Okay. All right. We ended, right? We 884.
Okay. Page.
No, that's it, right? For what number did Van call out to? Okay, yeah. That's it for those guys. Sorry.
Any other questions or comments regarding resolutions 877 to 884?
I have a general question. I was just wondering, has a study of all the additional pays ever been done by the district to see if there's a more efficient way to get the work done versus all these additional pays that come through the board? Has that kind of study ever been done?
I don't know that anybody can answer that, but that is the kind of question that is a good question, and it could be put to the question log, and you can get an answer. Probably somebody would have to research that, but can you add that to the question log? Any other questions regarding resolutions 877?
Just to President White, in addition to what Commissioner Davis is requesting, the cost of that as well. So how much money have we spent on an annual basis for additional pay?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know.
Okay. All right. I need to have a vote, though, on these additional pay resolutions 877 to 884. I'm sorry, there's another question?
No.
All right. There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 877 to 884, say aye. Aye. Any oppositions?
It's a no for me on, and I hate that they're all bundled like this, but on 883, because it includes that summer one, and I'm just confused as to why we have two sets of registrars doing schedules, so.
So that is a no for you in that bundle of resolutions, 877 to 884?
No, just 883, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
But there's a whole bunch of stuff under 883, which I would like us to break these up too, because.
I'll talk to staff to see if we can maybe call things 883A.
Yes,
B,
thank you.
And that way you could talk to them. So
Thank
we'll
you.
figure it out. Well, so maybe, thank you. We'll see how it
So for
looks.
now, though, it's a no for 883. Is that right, Commissioner LeBron?
Yes.
Okay.
And for me, it's a no for all the additional pay.
And Vice President Elliott, you said?
No to all.
I still think by my math that that is 4 votes in favor of those bundled resolutions, so those resolutions pass. I need a motion to discuss resolutions 885 to 888.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Powell. Any questions or comments regarding those budgetary resolutions? We're on 885 through 888. Vice President Elliott, do you have a question?
I think I'm getting a little bit more knowledgeable in my capacity to ask the right questions are increasing after 12 years around financial stuff. So for 885, tell me what is happening here. We're increasing that line item to 1.6 million, and for what? Explain about the stop loss reimbursement self-insurance.
And Everton, it's on page 50.
So the stop loss is because we are self-insured for health insurance. We have a threshold of $500,000. So anytime there is any individual claim above that, the insurance company reimburses the difference.
Oh, so this is a reimbursement?
It's a reimbursement. So what we do, our revenue increases, and what we do, we use that amount to offset our healthcare expenditures. So that's the expenditure side of this. But this is basically the increase in the revenue, and then we use it to offset the expenditure because it does relate to healthcare.
Okay, does that happen annually or?
It happens whenever we get a claim. It happens throughout the year. Our threshold was originally 350,000, but about 6 months ago, about 6 months ago, we changed it to $500,000 because we didn't have a lot hitting that threshold, and our premium was very high. So when we increased the threshold, our premiums went down, and I think we reported about $1 million something savings just from the premium. So now when we go above the $500,000, we get that back from the insurance company.
So going to resolution 888, is that the totals there? Is that what I'm reading? Okay.
Of all three of the different categories.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions regarding resolutions 885 to 888? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 885 to 888 say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, let's get a motion to discuss procurement and supply resolutions 889 to 892.
So moved.
Commissioner Hallmark, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Vice President Elliott. Any questions or comments regarding these procurement and supply resolutions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So can I just ask that page 52 and 53, I was reading these and I was like, what is, like, it's almost unreadable the way that the bid tabulation is just condensed in that format. So I just want to throw that out there. It makes it, one, very difficult to understand, and two, very difficult to even read, because I don't even know, and I was looking at this for a few times, just trying to figure out what they were saying. Like even on page 53, it says item 13, discount list price, column 40%. There's no columns, so in sections listed. So I feel like I don't even know what I'm actually voting on this particular one.
Mike, can you come?
Mike, come on down. And then on page 54, I just want to understand if there's going to be a clause on these contracts to pull out for the 5-year contracts, because I just feel like we have a new superintendent coming in, and I would like them to have the opportunity to review the contracts. And I don't mind voting for the 5 years, but I want to make sure that there's a clause that we can pull out if they don't agree with it.
Right. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
They're structured as a 5-year extension. They're always a 5-year, 1-year rollover, and in terms of the way the contract is constructed. It begins not this coming year, but the following year. It's the start of the next 5 years, so 21 to 25, if my math is right. So we do have a couple different ways we can work with the contractor based on the performance. So there's a couple different ways to work with that piece, whether it's opting out or holding them accountable for poor service, whatever it might be. That's built into the contract language.
It's built into the contract. Yes. So if our new superintendent came in and was like, I want to pull out of these contracts, I'm just not happy with the cost. Let's just say, hypothetically, could there be an out for this?
Sure. Well, when we negotiated with both First Student and Monroe, for them to extend the contract, the state regulation is they have to go by CPI, which is done May of every single year. The past contract the way it was negotiated was an annual 2.5% increase. Current CPI right now is about 1.5, 1.6. So over the course of the 5 years, that doesn't change. So it goes wherever CPI goes. For our benefit, it would be the projection is for it to be a savings for us. But also because of our partners at First Student and Monroe Transportation, they've been very effective at working whatever our extra asks are. Monroe, in fact, recently with Maria Miller-Dupre and Lori Baldwin taking over leadership there, have been very responsive to some immediate needs that we've had for our students with disabilities. So I'm not concerned about them living up to the contract, and actually financially it works much better for us.
Okay, I just want to make sure we give our new superintendent an ability to review. But on page 52 and 53, do you see that those paragraphs of words jumbled together with the percentages?
I never want to stand up here but those aren't my resolutions, so I can't speak to those in terms of how they're structured. They are contracts for parts or material that we use, but I don't know all the different pieces of that. I wish I did.
All I can tell you is, because these are HVAC and plumbing supplies, even if they outline the specific name of the product, you'd still look at it and scratch your head, okay? What you're looking at is a collection of catalog categories. And so that, for instance, Best Plumbing offered us the best discounted price on parts A, X, and Y, while Crest Good Manufacturing offered the best discount or price on catalog item C, W, and S, okay? It looks jumbled, but that's because the folks in procurement, Tim,
I don't think they're here.
basically went through all of the parts in all of the catalogs that our people could possibly use and pulled out the best pricing in all of the catalogs that our suppliers have, so that we could lock in those discounts and get the best price whenever we might need them. There are items on here we might never buy, right? If our particular HVAC system doesn't break down and we don't have to order new parts, those pieces will never get used. But someone in procurement has combed through the catalogs to make sure that we get the best pricing. And just because, different manufacturers put out different catalogs, you can't assume that one parts wholesaler is going to have the best price on every single item, so you have to do that analysis.
No, let me just say thank you. I appreciate that thorough explanation. The problem I have, though, is that if I can't comprehend it, how are people in the community who may pick this up or read resolutions? Because we do have parents that do read resolutions. They can't even understand this. Like, I understand your explanation, and it makes sense. You were bidding, we got different bids from different individuals, and we're going with different companies for different parts because they're the best price. It could be in a column that could be explained to explain what we're looking at. But this right here looks like copy and paste of everything all jumbled together. And if you read it from left to right, you can't even form a sentence out of it. So it's very confusing. So I just want to make sure that it's legible for anyone to pick it up and understand what they're looking at, including myself as the commissioner.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Go ahead, Everton, and then.
What we will do is to take it and break it down columnar,
Yes.
right, so that you can see each of the headings. And
That's it. Thank you.
All right. That's exactly what I was going to say, but no. I want to thank Commissioner Powell because now I understand it a little bit better.
There you go.
Mr. President?
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
We'll get that done.
On Resolution 892, I may vote no because Lori left us. And so I don't know if I'm going to vote in favor of 892 because she left us, Mr. President. So I just want to put that on the record.
I don't think we can keep her here by voting no.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you know, so I'm just thinking.
All right. Now we need to vote on 880. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make one comment. When it comes to these, the procurement and supply and the educational facilities, when it comes to the vendors, I still feel more comfortable. There's language in the resolution that said that procurement or who's ever in charge of the contract that states that they did all their due diligence, and then we're making a decision to go ahead with this because we have that statement. So I still would like to see a statement that the persons who have proposed these kinds of work, where we're contracting vendors, where I'm not an HVAC, expert or professional. I'd like to see language in the resolutions that says that the department has done their due diligence and made sure that all of these vendors are in good standing, all of that, basically those things that you do for due diligence. And then based on knowing that that's been done, then I would recommend that we go forward. And I'm sharing that because, again, I receive emails from persons talking about various vendors that we use, that they're not sure that there are some characteristics of those vendors that may not be up to code. So just for Cover Us, I would prefer to be able to, in the future, add to the resolution a confirmation statement that who's ever proposing these contractors, that they state they've done the due diligence in regard to that contractor.
Well, yes, Commissioner Powell?
Might I ask the legal or anyone who works with our contracts, isn't that in the supporting documents? Don't we have some of that information laid out in supporting documents?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it
like a lawyer who's brief. He said, yes, ma'am.
No, there's an entire package that accompanies any request for contract from the time it starts all the way through to when the contract is actually drafted. And during that process, the people who are requesting the contract are required to certify that the goods that are being bought from reputable people that are responsible and responsive. That's the language of the statute. That the goods, of course, are needed for the purpose for which the contract was requested in the first place.
So if there's a singular piece of paper that we could attach to the resolutions to give that foundation.
It's a lot of paper, but I don't know that that's not impossible, but that's not my department. I'm just telling you from a legal perspective, when I read these resolutions, I'm satisfied because I have the good fortune of having the whole package, and my department sees that contract develop right from the request, to the time that it's signed. Now, there are contracts that are not processed through my office as well, that are just handled by your procurement and purchasing office, and I can't speak to those. I can only speak, to the large contracts that we handle.
Could we possibly get examples of it. Rather than killing another set of trees, can we have an example first? The other way to do it is we have all of our resolutions are by member of the board. The other way that I've seen it done by other districts is it would not be by members of the board, it would be by one of the staff. So whether that makes a difference or not.
Superintendent, just to address that point, a resolution must be moved by a member of the board. That would be a requirement. Now, the way it is often done, it would be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent based upon thus and such, we do so and so. Then a member of the board would move that. So the motion could be proposed by someone on the staff, and it usually is. But the actual move, the motion, the second, the vote has to be by the board members.
I mean, even if it's just a one-page statement that someone from the department signs that is a part of the packet that says that the due diligence was done. I don't need the whole packet, just a statement. So that's what I'm basing my decision on.
Well, I have a thought too.
Go ahead.
So I want to second the worry about killing too many trees. I wonder if, we get these online before the meeting. Could we just insert a hyperlink, so that can be checked by us beforehand instead of printing all these up?
Or just put a statement under each of them.
So before we hear from Commissioner Powell, might I suggest that this is a good conversation, but there might be a more appropriate place and time to have it. I think we know what Commissioner Davis is trying to get at. The question is it feasible? Is it possible? And maybe that conversation can take place at another setting. Commissioner Powell?
Yeah, I think one of the easiest alterations we could make to the resolution itself, if you recall all our conversations from the HCI portion of the packet, there was every HCI resolution has a sponsor, a principal or division chief that's a sponsor of it. So it quickly identifies who it is that's bringing the resolution before us. A whereas clause that does that, and perhaps wraps certain particular I vouchsafe kind of language around it, would have the same form and purpose that the division chief and principal director in the HCI portion serves.
Yeah, I too was thinking maybe a simple, if you are going to do this, a simple whereas clause on any one of these that had some language. Let me just suggest, though, that some of the stuff that would be naturally of concern to anybody about these contractors, it does require some diligence on our part if that's the concern or the issue. And if a whereas clause doesn't do it, we might just have to do where we have some concern, some additional research. The other thing I would just respectfully remind my colleagues is that, for example, this conversation is a good conversation, but it is a conversation that could have been, and I'm really trying to say this with the most degree of respect, that could and should have happened before we got to the dais, right? And in fact, I would add that there have been questions asked this evening, and I want to be fair to the administration. A lot of questions have been asked of the administration that could have been asked before, and so we must show them the respect of getting our questions in advance. I know we're all very busy. There are times where we just have to ask our questions from the dais, but we have a long-standing tradition of asking particularly good questions like this, and there's been a lot of good questions this evening, but we have a long-standing tradition of asking, because we get our packets on Friday, and it's not always possible. Lord knows I know this. You don't have the time to do it, but you should be going through your packet, sending written questions to the chief of staff, who gets them to the superintendent, and they disperse them. And then the task is for them to provide the answers in advance. Because the problem with asking many of these good questions, there's not been a bad question asked this evening, is you're asking people to answer questions on the spot. And you're probably not getting, with all due respect to our staff, you're probably not getting the best answers. So if at all possible, and I know personally it's not always possible, provide your questions, whether they relate to protocols, practices, or substantive questions relating to the resolution. And again, I want to repeat so that nobody takes offense, there were some really good questions asked today. But the best way for us to do our job is to let them do their job in a way that they have notice, and so they can give us the decent answers. So I would remind folks, if your schedule allows, make sure you get to your packet in advance. Yes, Commissioner Thomas.
But having said that, I'd be happy to work with Everton over some
absolutely.
sort of stock language that we can add.
Yes, Jerry and I, we actually talked about this a week ago, but it wasn't our decision at the time to make, so we have been monkeying around how we can get that exact thing done. So hearing this from the board now, we can put it into action.
Commissioner LeBron?
So I just want to put it out there, I'm not going to be submitting any questions in advance unless it's a really complex question. I don't mind putting questions on the board blog, but then if it's something not generally something important or that major, but I personally do like to ask my questions from the dais, and I do that purposely, specifically because as other people are looking at these things and understanding it, we don't have no other way to communicate with people who may have questions about this. And I know this is our job, but it should be very clear to the community and public what we're voting on, why we're voting on it, what does it impact, and how it relates to the things that we're here to do. So I just want to throw that out there. Me personally, I will be asking my questions from the dais.
So let me just suggest that asking questions from the dais is not a bad thing. All I'm saying is, if you ask them in advance so that the administration has them, they can review them, be prepared to provide a response. So I hear you, and I've heard other colleagues before you say this. I want folks to know what issues I'm interested in. That's 100% correct approach, and you want to be able to verbalize it. But the question becomes, are you getting the best answers for the people that you're asking the questions? So I have no objection to you having provided the question on Sunday night, when you've gone through the packet on Friday, you type it up, you send it to the chief of staff, the superintendent distributes it to the appropriate department head, he or she writes an answer, provides it to you in advance, at least is prepared at the podium to respond, and then you still ask your question, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then he or she is able to provide, so this way, the community is not only getting the benefit of your question, but the community is getting the benefit of a thoroughly researched answer from the administration. They're not only entitled to hear from us, but they're also entitled to hear the best possible answer from the administration. So yes, please read your question, but let them make sure that they've had an opportunity to provide their best presentation to the community as well.
Yeah, but I just want to add that the resolutions come from administration and staff. They should already be prepared. They know what they're submitting to this board to vote on. And that doesn't make, like, for me personally, that just doesn't click for me and make sense that we would give them a heads up on the type of questions we're going to ask them. They're the ones that are preparing these resolutions, saying that they need money for this, they need to fund this program, they want us to approve these dollars. They should be prepared to answer any questions on any of these resolutions that they themselves are putting forward. We're not putting the resolutions together and telling administration where to move the money. They're telling us where they need to move the money and what we're approving and why we're approving it. So I just want to throw that out there. I will not be submitting questions up front. The administration prepares these resolutions. They should be prepared to answer questions from any commissioner, not just myself, because I don't know what questions you guys are going to have, but they should be prepared to answer questions. And I said this before, and this is not in any way a personal attack to any administrator, because I do believe that there are some very hardworking administrators in this district. But if at any point anybody was to ask you what you were doing as part of your job, you should be able to articulate when you're doing your job what you're doing and why you're asking for certain things. So I just want to throw that out there because that just doesn't make sense.
Commissioner Hallmark?
So I hear where you're coming from, but I also want to point out that administrators cannot anticipate our questions necessarily, even though they're doing a great job or know their job or know what they've put the resolution for. I mean, Carlene earlier didn't know the number of students that were served by the test prep stuff, she could find that out, but she wouldn't have been able to anticipate that particular question from you. So it's just, if she had received that question beforehand, she would have been able to come and say right off the bat. So I don't think it's an either or. I think it's certainly fine to submit stuff beforehand and ask it at the dais, because folks can't anticipate what crazy questions we're going to great questions we're going to come up with, right? It helps.
I just want to clarify, though, even around that, these are some of the questions I'm asking for me are very basic and simple questions. And the number of students, if you're asking us to spend a significant amount of money, and I'm going to go back to where East already gets $23 million a year, you're asking us to then put another, even if it was $5, it's another $1,000, and you can't tell me the number of students we're serving. To me, that's a basic question. That should already have been there, but they didn't put it in there. But for me, I would have liked to have seen, as in some of the other resolutions on the district side, just not East, they did put all the numbers of students that we're serving. For some of them, a significantly less amount. There were grant requests in here, or funding requests for $280 for 25 parents, and $350 for another 25 parents specifically for this, and it talked about what the outcome was. All I'm saying is the questions that I'm asking are very simplistic in their nature. I'm not saying that they have to anticipate. I'm saying they should understand all the details of what they're asking us to vote on for these resolutions and why we're voting for them, and be able to articulate that when they're asked questions. That's it.
Dan, and then Commissioner Powell, and then I'm going to call the question.
I'd agree with you. The problem is we have 16 of our staff tonight. We probably need 30, maybe, and if that's what it'll take till the board is comfortable with the answers, then we'll make sure everybody's here. The few that we didn't have precise answers is because the person that was in charge of that thing wasn't here, and I'll make sure that they are.
Commissioner Powell?
I just want to clarify something that was just said about East High's already getting so much money and now they're asking for more. This is the resolutions for the summer, or for the AP prep, Regents prep, was not a budget amendment stuff. This was not new dollars. It was a request for us to approve dollars already set aside in the budget, grant funding already set aside for East High. They can't spend any money on anything, even though we've approved a budget, without bringing it before us. So to characterize it as and spending even more is very inappropriate way of framing it. To give an example of what Commissioner White is asking us to do, when I meet with finance and facilities prior to our board meeting, for instance, I've been waiting for someone to ask the question on Resolution 893. The resolution is a final payment resolution. It's for authorization to cut a check for $4,080 to close out this particular contract. But invariably, with our final payments, the question that people always ask about is the change order information, which isn't even in the resolved, it's in the whereas, okay? We're getting money back from this particular vendor, $10,842, and I told Everton and Mr. Schmidt, be sure you have the answer as to what exactly we're getting our money back from, because someone's going to ask the question, and I'm still waiting for somebody to ask that very basic question, because that's exactly the kind of question that comes up month after month, year after year. And all I'm saying is when I review that information with Everton before our board meeting, I'm giving them the heads up, like, look to this and look to that. Those are the questions I anticipate my colleagues will ask about.
Can I just add though?
Commissioner Braun, we want to wrap this up. I'm going
Yeah.
to call the question after this. I
So-
think we've exhausted this conversation.
Yeah, but I just want to add for the record that Resolution 909 and 911, we're voting to the University of Rochester $35,000. So in this entire packet, we're saying an additional $71,000 that we're essentially voting to give to the U of R, which is our partner with East High School, for two various resolutions. Those two contracts, 909 and 911, definitely are additional money that,
Commissioner
because
LeBron.
it's not part of East. I just want to throw that out there. It's still
But
under
Commissioner
the U
LeBron,
of R purview.
We will
That's
get
it.
to that, but that's not even before
I know,
the
but
board
she's
right now.
saying that I'm saying additional funding, and I'm saying if you look at the entire packet, there's $71,000 additionally going to the University of Rochester, whether it's for East or even these two other resolutions talks about the U of R, but it's still with our students
Commissioner
at
LeBron.
East. I just want to throw that out
But
there.
Commissioner LeBron, the time to throw that out there is when those resolutions are before the board. They're not before the board right now.
In response to her comment
Okay,
about what I
and
just
you
said.
can respond and indicate all that you just said when there is those resolutions are properly before the board. They're not before the board. So I'm going to call the question, and we're going to vote on resolutions 889 to 892. Is there any further additional questions or comments? Because I called the question, there should not be.
92.
All those in favor of resolutions 889 and 892, say aye. Aye. Any opposition?
I'm thinking about 892. No, I'm voting in favor.
And
All right.
no for me.
You got a no to those resolutions?
Yes, no.
Capture that, Madam Clerk? Okay. All right,
With a little
now,
question mark for 892.
now we need to discuss resolutions 893 to 906, Educational Facility Resolution. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Elliott. Any questions or comments regarding resolutions 893 through 906? There being no questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 893 to 906, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
And no for me.
All right. Ms. Scott, Madam Clerk, these are resolutions 907 to 925. By way of example, Commissioner LeBron had indicated that sometimes there are, I'll call out a block of resolutions, and some of them really aren't active resolutions, like 907 and 908 were withdrawn. Technically, if you get the chance, it's not a huge ordeal, but if you get the chance, just eliminate those. So I need, in accordance with that statement, I need a resolution to discuss resolutions 909 to 925. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Powell. Any questions or comments regarding the other resolutions? Yes, ma'am.
Again, I want to point out 909 and Resolution 911. 911 in particular is saying that we're going to give the University of Rochester another $35,000 to do mentorship to grades 3 to 6 and 9 through 12 throughout the district. I just want to throw that out there because that's a little bit out there for me. But
I see 2,500. When do you get 35,000?
that's 2,500 is each one, what they're each going to get paid. See, the additional agreement will exceed $35,000 for the fiscal year.
If I could just comment on 909.
Sure.
So 909 is actually for $2,097. So the reason that the resolution is brought before you is because with other agreements to the University of Rochester it exceeded the $35,000.
Hold on one second, Anne Marie. Is that money coming out of their budget or is it coming out of our general funds?
This is actually, this particular one for the $2,000 is grant funded, and this is actually to the Eastman School of Music. So we are holding
Still
a
the
venue.
U of R. I just want to throw that out there.
Yes, it is,
Yeah.
it is, it is. But it's grant funded, and it's actually an event that we hold. This is like the 5th year that we've held. It's our School Administrator Technology Summit. And ASAR, because it's for school administrators, they pick up the majority of the cost. So they're funding all the food for the event, but we hold technology classes, and we bring keynote speakers in, and it's a whole day of PD for school administrators on the last day of school. So this particular resolution is for the $2,097, and it's funded by a technology grant that we have. So just to clarify that.
So
It's an addition, though, right, to what they get?
This, yes,
You're
this
saying
is,
yes,
this
this
is,
is
yes, it
addition,
is. This is
but-
in addition, yes.
but
This
it's
is
coming
for
out of a
the
tech
use of
grant.
yes, the Eastman School of Music for our administrators, yes.
You know, in my line of business, they would clearly call that a leading question. The reality is, this is the University of Rochester's Eastman School of Music that is adding value to a program or initiative that the district generally has. This is not part of the EPO operation, correct?
That's correct.
That's a leading question too, by the way. Right?
It's not part of EPO, yes, it's correct.
All right. Any other questions or comments regarding those series of resolutions?
I just have one comment on 909. Do they mean June 28th, 2019? Not 18?
Yes, they do, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that. So we need a friendly amendment. Do you have any opposition, Mr. Superintendent, to amending that? No. Anybody have any objection to that? Thank you for catching that, Commissioner Davis. Any other questions regarding or comments regarding resolutions 909 to 925?
Yeah, 921, I know that myself and Commissioner Hallmark had this question, but I would like to add who donated this money, and apparently it was ASAR. So I just want to add that we know who donated the money for professional services. And then also on 923, just with the RAND, because I know this came up during the budget hearing, I thought for the RANDs and the bands that we were going to be shopping for this. I don't know if Everton's still here. Oh, so yeah, I thought we discussed that we were going to be shopping the market for the RANDs and the bands, and then also what the interest rate is going to be from city council to the city from us if we borrow from them.
Well, we're not borrowing from the city, we're just requesting the board authorization to allow the city to go out and start doing the
So they're going to do the bidding in the market?
Yes.
Okay.
We're
All
not
right.
authorized to do that, so once this gets through tomorrow, I take the resolution to the city, and then they take it to their city council, and then they go to the market.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
And I'll just do my, I'll just do my thanks for 921 and 922, two gifts to the district. Thank you to ASAR for donating $10,750 to support a keynote speaker, Christopher Emden, for a summit. And then for 922, thanks to REF, Rochester Education Foundation, for donating $10,000 for a Peace Garden. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Hallmark, for doing that.
I have one more
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
On 914, are the years on that correct?
Oh, yeah, I don't think so. It should be, summer school would be 2019. This is transportation for summer school, should be 2019, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're not taking kids to not last year's summer school. My apologies. The reasons are excuses, but we've been negotiating back and forth with them, and that was, we've dropped the cost of it significantly, so we will make that adjustment.
Thank you, Commissioner.
But it is for summer of 19.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis, for catching that. There's no objection to a friendly amendment to that resolution 914 to say 2019 instead of 2018. There being no objection, Madam Clerk, will you correct that? Vice President Elliott,
the dates are correct, August 14th and July 1st.
Right.
It's just the year that's wrong.
The year, absolutely.
So
Vice President Elliott, yep.
A couple more questions, Mike. So the 914 is for the summer, and the resolution 924 is for the next school year?
Yes, we negotiate summer and our regular contract separately. So the summer is an annual agreement, and it's based on our usage and our projected usage and the sites of the summer schools. This is only for high school summer school, not for the elementary programs. The other resolution, which is
24.
I think it's 924, yep.
That is for, once again, similar to the Monroe and First Student. We negotiated a 5-year extension with the RTS. The difference between negotiations with RTS and with the Monroe and First Student is they're mandated, if we're going to extend, to be at CPI. RTS doesn't fall into that same governance, so what we negotiated with them is a floor and a ceiling, the floor being 1.75 and the ceiling being 2.5. Our current agreement is 2.5 annually. CPI has been about 1.7, so over the course of this contract, we'll save several $100,000. If it, obviously, there's always a roll of the dice that it has to stay there, but it won't ever go above 2.5.
Okay.
And that begins not this coming school year, the following school year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then not for you, Mike, for Resolution 911. Are there a sufficient amount of male students of color in the Simon School to provide mentoring for grades 3 through 6 and 9 through 12 throughout the district?
I'm going to say yes, there are.
In the Simon School?
In the Simon School. Dr. Willis has been over there socializing this with the Simon School, and they are going to provide mentoring for, it won't be for 100% of our students. It's going to be for 100 hours.
But just clarify for me.
Uh-huh.
How big is the school?
Okay.
What's the student population of the school?
All right, so that would be a board log question. Could we do
because
that?
what you're saying to me, if you got this many students of color in the Simon School, I'm going over there to get enrolled in that program.
Okay.
So I think that this may be a misprint.
No.
They ain't got that many
Commissioner, I'm going to
male of colors at the Simon School.
We're going to answer that question
Please,
tomorrow.
because I'm going to put some money on that one, because I don't believe that one.
All right.
Can I just add, though,
I
that...
don't believe that one.
That
They got that many people, men of color. Show me. I'm from Missouri on that one.
Can I just add, though, that Dr. Shanae Lee went to the Simon School of Business, and she highly recommends it to everybody. And it is a phenomenal program. I don't want to, like, cut them.
They're going to have sufficient number of males of color who attend the Simon School to work with our kids throughout the district in grades 3 through 6 and 9 through 12. Unless I'm not, when it comes to operationalizing it, I'm not clear about that. Okay.
You asked for how many students?
Huh?
You said how many students they're going to be serving?
Well, if they're going to be doing it throughout the district, is what I'm saying. Maybe I'm misinterpreting, because I'm thinking that this is saying that, you know, for every grade. Okay, so maybe that's where the misunderstanding is. It's not for every grade. It's just that you're saying that.
Right, not for every grade. It's for your.
Because then it's only $2,500.
Right.
So maybe this was worded, not worded well.
Yeah. Okay.
And it needs to be worded. It needs to be reworded, because I'm thinking that, you know, if the Simon School has, just let's say the Simon School has 100 students, and I'm thinking that all of those students are men of color, based on how I'm interpreting the, so that's where I'm getting somewhat confused. And then they're only charging $2,500. So I probably read that, I'm sure I read that incorrectly, but if they can be, if I can get some clarification on that, I'd appreciate it.
So we'll put that in the question log, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, can I
Commissioner
also
LeBron?
just put in the question log, the wording of that? So anytime we go over our 35,000, you know, we are allowed to do small contracts under $35,000, don't have to come to the board. It's only when they're over 35,000. And in both those resolutions, and I misread it, and I want to throw that out there too and apologize, but because it says we're exceeding over $35,000 for the fiscal year, then they put in the price further down into the resolution. I would like to know exactly by how much we're over exceeding the $35,000 in these contracts overall, anytime we see it. So, for example, you know, Company A, instead of saying we'll exceed the $35,000 for the fiscal year, I don't know how much and what was spent for those $35,000 for that company until after we hit the after 35,000 mark, where it has to come to the board by law. So I would just like to understand how much at that point we have spent with this company in additional to the 35,000.
We get.
Does make sense, Francine? Yes. Thank you.
We get the change orders, yeah. I mean, not the change orders, the 30,
Yeah, the
those
quarterly
reports of,
You know, we get those quarterly reports that tell us when we max out, when they get 35,000.
Yes, but.
Under
Is my mic on? Yes, and those are, not just those come in quarterly, but we're voting on these quite frequently. So, you know, it might be another 3 months before we understand how much we've already overpaid a certain particular vendor or, a consultant? Because that's usually where I see the $35,000 list as the consultant list.
Dan's not saying this, I'm saying this, I would just want to remind our colleagues with the questions, the workload. And they may not can get that information right away and all these other things that they're doing. And I think the board has to look at what's the most efficient and effective way in order to be able to have the questions that we ask to be responded to so that they're balanced with the other work that they have to do. I have a couple of questions.
I'd agree. We'll look into it. But again, you're seeing it quarterly. The reason we have a 35,000 is that a particular entity couldn't be getting a whole bunch of money and going over that. So let me sit with Everton and try to see what's the reasonable way to do it.
Because and the other thing, I don't want our staff to be burnt out, and nor do I want them to be leaving. I mean, we've already had some experience with that because they're overburdened. So I just want to be sensitive to that.
Commissioner
and I have
Powell.
another question.
Yes, Commissioner Powell.
Yeah, if all of the other resolutions have been discussed, Resolution 925, my input is not in this table. I have it for Anissa, but my iPad battery died before I could get it to her, and she knew she wasn't going to get it when she in time to create this. Could we just change the number in the final column for me to TBD, and we'll end up with an amended resolution next month?
So you're indicating that it's not the number?
That number is not correct for me. And
Mine's either. I just want to thank you for adding that.
I would prefer, is there a deadline?
Can we put, there isn't.
So then I would just.
Can we pull the resolution?
We can pull it.
Okay.
Again, what resolution?
This is the one that relates to board's
925.
time. We have to account to the state for our time. This is something that we have to submit by resolution. So we're going to pull, Madam Clerk, we're going to pull that resolution. You'll work with Commissioner LeBron and Commissioner Powell to make sure that the correct time is reflected there. So we won't be voting on resolution 925.
Can I uplift one thing?
Yes.
You all interfere with me asking questions.
Oh, no, I'm getting to you. I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't done.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't done.
Commissioner Davis, does this relate to 925 or no? Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you finish that?
I don't know if this is here, I don't think. I just wanted to know, is there a particular timeline? I was under the impression that we had to submit our record of activities within a certain timeline for the law. So I wouldn't want the activities that people have submitted people have to do all the record of activities over again because we've missed the deadline to submit these. So
this is, and this would be unfair to our current clerk, but Dr. Shanae Lee did a lot of this stuff. She was really the expert in this. I don't think, and I'm sort of looking at Carl, he may not even know, that there's any a penalty for this, but does anybody have any? I don't think
my
there
understanding is you collect 3 months worth of our hours, and then you submit it, and if that's approximately what your work is, then you can just resubmit it every year unless you want to update it. But it's usually once unless you want to update it. It's optional.
But if you could ask Anissa, because I thought there was some kind of guideline.
Oh, so I thought you were actually asking a different question. I thought you were asking that once you submit your 3 months, and we don't vote on it within a certain amount of time, will that mean you have to do your?
No.
That's what I was talking about. So I thought she had, I thought Anissa, oh no, she's right there.
You don't
I might have misunderstood.
Okay, all right,
So
well, let's see if we can answer.
First of all, Anissa, did you run back from home?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, it's probably my fault in trying to understand the process.
So at this point, we have Commissioner Davis and Commissioner LeBron have started a new term. Within the first 150 days, we need to file with the retirement system their hours. So it's critically important that this gets in. Commissioner LeBron recertified, but this is the first time we have hours for Commissioner Davis. Should you choose to do another 3 months, at the time you complete it, it's calculated, and I can file it, I can do that for you, but we need to move this forward to get their records on record because we're supposed to file by the 150th day. However, when you do want to record for another 3-month period to reflect the work that you're doing, I can certainly send additional information. But your record right now appears to be the same as your prior record until you change it. Is that okay?
So, undoubtedly you heard 2 commissioners have indicated that this is not correct. Well, maybe 3. Is there any prejudice to those who have already logged their hours if we put this off until, I don't know when the next available meeting would be?
Well, we definitely have to. We cannot put them on the documentation. However, we can't change any records until we have the official documentation, because the last time the comptroller's office came, we did not have the documentation to support the record of activities. So that which is on file is that what you get right now until you provide the information for the next 30-day period, and then we can go ahead and change it. But for now, I need this to go forward with Commissioners LeBron and Davis so that we can file on time and be in compliance.
So I think my colleagues are hearing from Anissa Henry Wheeler is that we should file this and then you can file appropriate amendments. Is that right?
We can update that. If that becomes, if you feel those records are not correct and they don't currently reflect your time, then you can go ahead and change that. I know I did hand out calendars to several individuals who didn't have an opportunity to complete the period of time that was required, but we're on a clock to make sure that Commissioner Davis's time gets in because she's at her point that needs to be reported.
So
Okay?
explain.
Hold on. Let me just start here and then work our way back. Go ahead, Commissioner Butler.
So just for clarification, the number that's on the column for me is the same number was supplied last year.
Correct.
So
And those are days, not hours. The number on the record is days, and so it's identifying the number of work days that you're working in a month, and that is determined based upon your 3 months of time, accumulating the hours, average month, and et cetera.
So the fact that I have the documentation in my care, not yours, from February, March, and April, we can resubmit this with an amendment or something next month or next board meeting that would give you the correct number of days for myself?
But there's usually a requirement to file with the clerk within 30 days of the time the record was completed. So you may need to add an extra month, is all I'm saying.
Just for clarification.
Hold on. We're just going to work our way down. Vice President.
Yeah, just clarify exactly the formula for these calculations.
Well, we're within 30
Okay,
days
so
right now.
you've provided approximately 3 months of time that you're working, and you're identifying specific board-related work that you're performing during that time. I'd sum all of the hours you spend in each of the 3 months, then I would calculate an average monthly hours for you. I'd take the average monthly hours, and that is what we're going to be using in order to determine, we try to annualize that value and say, okay, if this is the average monthly hours, this is how much will be worked in based upon the 3 months, I'm trying to think out loud here. On the average, we determine how many hours you work per average month. We divided by your standard work day. The board has elected a 6-hour standard work day. The retirement system only allows us to have a standard work day between 6 and 8 hours, even though normally I would think the board would possibly pick a smaller number because you're not here full time, but that is not we're not allowed to, so we're between 6 and 8. So I would take your average hours divided by the 6, and from that I would determine the number of days, because if every 6 hours is a day, that's how many days you would receive credit for retirement purposes.
And so I was deciding not to submit hours because based on the criteria, it seemed that I wasn't qualifying. And so for the retirement system. And so then I get notification that I needed to do it or it was going to be suspended. So explain because if I didn't meet the criteria, 6 hours a day, 20 days, then why should I submit it? I mean, I know I was working, but based on that criteria, I didn't believe that I was eligible to participate in the retirement plan. But then I get notice when I decided not to, that I would be suspended.
So I know that I was actually speaking with payroll about this today, about how they're doing with the current reporting. But which generally happens is if you don't record your hours, the activity hours that you're spending in a monthly period, it doesn't mean you're physically here at the building weekdays for 6 hours. It's creating the denominator for us to calculate the equivalent days you work in a month's time. Doesn't mean you've been physically here 20 days.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm still talking about the total hours, whether it's here or not. But it seemed based on that criteria of 6 days a week, of 20 hours a month and 6 hours per day, that I still was not qualifying to participate in the
system.
In the system is what I was under the impression.
There are required participants and there are optional participants. Until you complete that record of activities, it'd be very hard to determine which one you fall under, and that is likely why they needed to see that determination, because once you do work the accumulated 20 days out of the month, you then are now required to be participating in the retirement system.
Because I may do 8 hours one day, but it may not come up to the total of 20 days, for the
Times
month.
the 60 hours or.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So does that answer the question?
For me, it does.
Commissioner LeBron?
Are we all set? So I do need that resolution to be completed because I do need to have it
You
filed.
answered that question.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis, were you getting ready to ask a question, or no?
No, she shared that it needs to be done, otherwise I have to start over again.
Yeah. So, thank you, Anissa. We appreciate that information. So we're going to go ahead and include.
I got a couple more questions.
No, I'm just wrapping this up. So we are going to include, I previously said we were going to remove that resolution, but we are going to include that when we finally vote on resolutions 909 to 925. Vice President Elliott?
Yeah, so resolution 911, is that the one, not 911, excuse me, 912. Is that the one that you presented on to us? What's her name? Thank you. Is that the one that you presented on to us? Okay.
912 is actually, it's a contract that we already have in place that you've already approved, a 5-year contract. It's for our fiber for our schools. The only reason there's a resolution is because there was the company changed from Fiber Technologies to, it was consolidated into Crown Castle Fiber.
So it's a name change?
Yeah, it's a name change. So it's the same, nothing, no additional monies or anything. It's the same contract. It's just that it is a different, it was bought out essentially.
Okay, so and then going to 920.
Yes.
Is that under you? So
yes.
What's going on here?
920 is the one that I presented on 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns or comments regarding resolutions 909 to 925? There being no further questions, all those in favor of resolutions 909 to 925 say aye. Aye. Any opposition?
For the record, I say yes to 909 to 912, to 921 and 922, and 925.
And the rest are no's?
The rest are no.
You recorded that, Madam Clerk? Thank you. All right. There is some unfinished business. The other day at a meeting, we were discussing the board 2019-2020 meeting calendar. Underneath this series of trees, as Dan would call it, there is a colorful document that you have on your desk in front of you. It is the calendar. There was some conversation as to whether we had to have a written resolution. Our understanding is we do not. In past practice, what we've done is we've just voted on, there's just been a motion and we voted on it. This calendar, for those of you who weren't at that prior meeting, this calendar establishes 2 business meetings a month to review and consider resolutions from relating to the East High EPO and to the district administration generally. Additionally, the calendar designates Tuesday as the standard day, that would be every Tuesday, as the standard day for special meetings or work sessions. And at this particular time, I need a motion to accept the 2019-2020 academic calendar.
Second.
I heard a motion by Commissioner Hallmark and a second by Vice President Elliott. Any questions or comments regarding this? All right.
Is that as needed or something?
Yeah, it's sort of as needed, but they needed to be able to put down Tuesdays as the date. Now, you and I and the rest of the four of the board members know that we still have a decision to make with respect to whether we want to continue not having committee meetings or restore some of the committees. I know Commissioner Shepard has indicated that she believes that the policy committee should be restored. I know other commissioners have some concern about the elimination of all committees. I am certainly one of them, but we are not going to talk about that tonight. So what we agreed to was to have business meetings twice a month on a Thursday, I think it was, and then leaving every Tuesday for either work sessions or special meetings. And those could become committee meetings if we restore any committee meetings.
So it's just a placeholder?
That's a fair way to describe it for now, absolutely. All those in favor of the motion as I just described it, say aye. 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 Any opposition? The ayes have it, Madam Clerk. You have your calendar. Thank you. Okay. There is the matter of announcing our next business meetings. Our next board meeting is June the 13th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Our next business meeting after that, consistent with what I've just described, is June the 20th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Anybody interested in looking at the board or the district, of course, you can go to www.rcsdk12.org. Now, while you would like to think that this meeting is over, it is not. As is typical, we have to go into executive session. Let me finish this first, by the way. I need to have a motion to go into executive session to discuss particular employees and to discuss the discipline related to particular students. I would also note, this doesn't have to be a motion, I don't believe, but we will also be discussing in confidential sessions, we will be receiving advice and counsel from our general counsel relating to other matters. So can I get that motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Powell, seconded by moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Powell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, good night. And we will be adjourning from downstairs once we come out of executive session. Good night, everybody.